Hello, hello and welcome, one and all, welcome to the AstroPub. First this real quick. Welcome to the office hours. Office hours. Let's get to the office show. Hello, my name is Paul, Berserker 1 Batman Shelley. And this is the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? This is the year in review show. This is going to be our last, well, second to last of the year. Because the last of the year will be the 28th, the office hours. And we're going to be doing another kind of year in review for the captain's table as well. So we're going to kind of like go over all of the patch notes and all the patches and kind of talk a little bit about it. We'll be talking about with Red Monster, Darionator, and Radar Ranger. So, the same time from this morning. I just, put all the stuff away and put it back on. Howdy, Mr. Pub. How are you doing? Get all your Christmas shopping done? Yes, I did. Go through my Luminalia gifts because I have not gone through all of the Luminalia gifts. Luckily, if those of you don't know, once you get to Luminalia, you get to as long as you get there like tomorrow. So if you're watching this the day after, make sure you go back to Luminalia and click all of the little cards so you can get all your stuff. Wow, that's a freaking love that item. The oh gosh, like the heavy SMG, the laser SMG. That skin is fucking amazing. Not the FS9. I'm talking about the pink and purple one. That is very, very flagrant, and I fucking love it. And I do love the Ninetales one, too. That's pretty cute. The ship paints are nice, yeah. I like the Luminalia Freelancers. I don't have a cutter, really, and I do have a Freelancer, though. So both those Freelancer skins are nice. Pretty cool. FS9 skin's good, but I mean, I have the other ones from previous years, which are okay. I meant LMG, not SMG. Yeah, the laser LMG, the one that's the Klaus and Werner one. So I have not mortgaged my house. I have not purchased really anything. I will be buying a Cutter Holiday Starter Pack because that's a great thing to do a giveaway with. Let me take a look at my hanger real quick. So I have an X1 to give away. I have a Cutter Rambler to give away. That's about it, looks like. Let's see, you hand it off to me. It's fine. Plus, I've got a Sulian package. 2 Sulian packages. 3 Sulian packages. Oh, I've got a standalone chip and then the other ones. So, it's pretty cool. Ramblers are so weird they don't have purpose. They do have purpose, but I think they should have been the base version. I think Ramblers should have been the base version of the Cutter. So they should have been the like just the base version, and then the Cutter that we get with the cargo should have been like the like Cutter hauler or whatever. So we're to spread all the Christmas cheer. Well, I plan on doing those giveaways on next Wednesday. Because next Wednesday, I'm going to do what I've been seeing other streamers do for a while, which is we're going to do a capped subathon, a 48-hour, max 48-hour capped subathon. And for those of you who don't know, that means that we're going to stream I'll get up in the morning and I'll stream for at minimum 12 hours. And if people enjoy the stream, as they sub more, and I might be minimum 8 hours. I think 8 hours is pretty good to run. As people enjoy the stream, the subs and donations and bits will all add to the total for a maximum of 48 hours. And once I reach, say, like, you know, midnight, I'll pause the timer, go to bed, wake up the next morning at like 8 a.m. my time, and start over again. Not over again, but continue on, and just stream all day and do the same thing. So for a maximum of 48 hours, if that tracks. So I'll say it again there, Corbin, in a bit. Question for later: what's your favorite addition to the lore this year? We're gonna look at some of the Galactipedia stuff, but yeah, definitely. I'm gonna say, I think right off the bat, my favorite addition was the founder of Anvil got some lore. J. Harris Arnold. He is amazing. Like, his backstory is great. We got a lot more we know a lot more about Anvil than we've ever known before in terms of its past. And that's great. Like, they've given a lot more kind of thought to how Anvil kind of works, so. What to do? You're back? Of course, I said I was gonna be back. Do you like the straw with the reclaimer?
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
That's not what I wanted.
Branner just resubscribed for 21 months.
Branner, thank you so much for that 21 months of Twitch Prime. You are very important, Papa. Very impressive, Pisser. Very new to Destiny. And this is your fault. The return freaking night. Trust and cheers in chat. That's almost 2 years. That's nuts. Thank you so much, Branner. Hey, Luna. I mean, I'm gonna be quite honest about the like. I like the way that they did. They've changed the hull munching to hull vibrating. I like that change because they just can't really do munching. They basically threw in the towel, like, not gonna work. And that's nice. You know, whenever CIG admits, like, they just can't do something, it means that we are getting somewhere where CIG is finally going, we have to start finalizing stuff, which is good.
Ever take away my space game.
I know it's gonna sound weird, but welcome to Beam, citizen baby.
GR_DMJ654 just resubscribed for 35 months. Do you think that the Cutter, especially the Rambler, is Drake's new source way of trying to undercut Cutty sales in order to make a statement that they aren't afraid to move away from the Cutty? Like they are clearly showing a new CEO is in town?
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much for that, that 35 months, GR. Woof. Oh, but 100,000%. That that is 100%, like 1,000% exactly what it is. I've been saying for a long time that Drake, I'm gonna do a big Drake video where I kind of go over the lore of all of Drake Interplanetary and all the ships put together, kind of like the history of it, kind of like I did with the Crusader. And one of the things that's pretty like easy to see is that when Andon Arden took over, he wanted to try to move away from the Cutty as much as possible because of the implications that the Cutty has. And what he did is instead hard pivoted towards the Vulture. So the Vulture is the new face of Drake. Why is that important? Because the Vulture is an industrial ship. It is a ship designed for a specific purpose that has very little value to pirates, to violent pirates. And the Vulture was built with experimental engines, originally for the Cutlass, but experimental engines. And if you notice, the Cutter gained those engines. The Cutter gained the style engines from the Vulture, which is very important, very intentional. It's a little weird to have your Vulture pick up a fucking piece of cat and just vanishes in a puff of smoke in my cargo bay. Yeah, that's more of, they want to change that. When they get, what is it called? Maelstrom incorporated in the game, that will start changing those, so those will be pieces of Rex rather than just what we see. It's going to be there's going to be a step between the Thanos snapping and slurping sort of thing. The whole vibrations is a placeholder for hole munching. Nope. Whole vibrations is here to stay, baby. That's it. That's what we got. That's going to be the future of salvage. You're not going to see hole munching as a physicalization. That's why they changed the claw entirely. Like, we may see more physicalized stuff in the distant future, but Star Citizen 1.0, vibrations. That's what we're getting. We're getting good vibrations. That's what we're doing. The reason why it's odd right now is because of the kind of, it just immediately turns into dust and gets sucked up, which is, like they said, that's a placeholder situation. That's the placeholder. Vibrations isn't the placeholder. That's here to stay. They'll probably do kind of a new pass with animations and how it looks and stuff like that, but that whole, you know, good vibrations from the Breach Boys. Oh, the Breach Boys. That's... I know you don't do many parody songs anymore, nerdy gentlemen, but it's right there. Good vibrations from the Breach Boys. And I gotta say, happy Luminali to all of you. May your candles or your lamps be lit high, and may your Sulis be merry. I don't know the whole like things behind it, but I will go over a little bit of the lore for Luminalia, because nobody cares about Luminalia. I did a video on the lore of Luminalia. No one cares. May high be lit. What? May your lamp be lit high. And held high. What manufacturer other than RSI, Origin, Crusader, and Drake Interplanetary? In terms of, for what? Caffeine Fiend. Oh yeah, by the way, we are going to be doing a Traveler's Day. We're going to do I think it's called the Pilgrimage. We'll be doing a pilgrimage for Traveler's Day at New Year's Day.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Athagan just resubscribed for 79 months. Merry Xmas, mate, to you and Cam.
Thank you so much for that 79 months of support. Merry Christmas to you too, and you and your son and your family and everything, your wife and everything. You are a very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. It was good to meet you, Ath, at CitizenCon. It was good. Good to see you in the persons. Oh hell, half finished thought. What manufacturer other than RSI, Origin, Crusader, and Drake Interplanetary have you call lots? Would you call? Oh, so basically, which one of them has lots of lore? Ship manufacturers? MISC. MISC actually has the most. Ironically, MISC has the most complete lore out of all of them, because we know we have a lore piece for every single ship. We know the first ship. We know from the first ship that was made by MISC all the way up to the most current ship, who designed them and when they were built. So we have the full list of MISC, and that's because they sat down, did one jump point where they did the entirety of the MISC lineup. It was not long enough. We'll have to do that again at some point. But yeah, so for those who don't know, Traveler's Day is the holiday for the Church of the Journey. And the Church of the Journey is a Star Citizen religion, which I'm just finished recording a video. Or yeah, well, kind of. I'm in the process. It should be out by Saturday. I originally wanted to get it out by Wednesday, but then streaming and other things got in the way. So, yeah, it's a Star Citizen. It's one of the religions of humanity in Star Citizen. It's kind of like a unique. So, let me hit the snooze button real quick. So, snooze for another 5 minutes. Oh gosh, what is it? Basically, it's a philosophy more than a religion, and the idea behind it is that life is a journey, and you should participate in as many journeys as possible and reflect and meditate on your life in those journeys. And, you know, write down your experiences when you take journeys and share those experiences with other people. And, you know, not that you should be constantly moving, but you should just be engaged in life rather than just being passively standing through life, that you should just always be traveling, or traveling as much as possible, because that's really where life is. And one of the major holidays is called Traveler's Day, which takes place on January 1st. And people get together. They have a potluck. They do, you know, they share stories. And then they go at midnight. They start off from one place, and they do, I think, a 20-kilometer hike from one point to another as the symbolic first journey of the year. And you're supposed to do 2 a year, I think, is minimum. So. It's a philosophy in the sense that, like, Buddhism is a philosophy, but people still call it a religion, you know. Taoism, yeah, it's another one. I guess Buddhism is a religion rather than a philosophy. Yeah, it's kind of a philosophy. Yeah, Tao, the Tao. It's not. I think the T is supposed to be pronounced as the D is supposed to be pronounced as a T. A way of living, yeah, to a degree. It's like a way that you proceed through life. And I think CIG intentionally made the Church of the Journey not an overt religion, because they didn't want to offend people. They wanted people to be able to participate in kind of role play or even in game with the church, while also not feeling like they're being blasphemous to whatever religion they're part of. Because it's kind of more of like just a philosophy of how to live your life, which doesn't necessarily conflict with modern ideas or our religious ideas today. So, Sufism, opium is a religion. No, that's just called the cult of Chris Roberts. Church of the Journey, not Church of the Traveler. I call it the Church of the Traveler sometimes and I screw it up, but it's Church of the Journey. The Great Traveler is Ternan, who is the god of the Banu god of travelers and journeys. So, what are you waiting for? Visit Orison, the city in the clouds. All right, let's take a look at all of the I'm going to go to the com links. And I'm going to go to... Let's go through... Oh, patch notes are here. I'm going to go through all of the patches this year. I'm going to look at the patch notes. There's not that many. To give you the total number of patches, including .x patches, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 patches this year in total. Yeah, it sort of sounds like that. They have that delivery, which is very BioShock. You shouldn't have ads. You're a subscriber. You shouldn't have them. So. Really, Caffeine Fiend? That was your first time you joined? Ouch. Oh, the Orison one. Okay, yeah. The Church of the Journey is everywhere. Fodder for Parker Tyrell. Parker might actually be an adherent to the church. Yeah, it was a big year. And I know a lot of people say last quarter, but I think it's really more like the last 2 quarters. Like, it's like a half a year. Because, like, July, August was when we started getting, you know, decent stuff. Okay. I'm not gonna go piece by piece with all of them, but I will 100%, like, I'm not going to go through all of the fixes and stuff like that. I'm mostly going to go to the additions and changes, just so we can kind of get an idea of what was happening. Oh no, for all of you in California, rain is starting. The world as you know about it is about to end. This may be the last you hear from me. The rain will break our interwebs, roads will get damp, and the horror. I lived in California for the long time. But one thing I've noticed about it's happened in California, but it happens everywhere in the United States, is once the rain starts coming down, people forget how to drive. They're like, the sky is falling, and then just completely forget how to drive entirely. All right. Hey, show guy. All right, so let's start with the dumpster fire. That is Alpha 318. So these are known issues. Let's go to new features. All right. Daymar Crash Site. In addition to the large derelict settlement on Daymar using parts of the Star Runner and 600i, as well as some HABs adapted to the biome to create a point of interest, which includes emissions. I forgot that was added this year. Sand Cave Archetypes. The addition of a new Sand Cave archetype across multiple planets and moons in the Staten system, including Hurston, Magda, Eta, Daymar, and Walla, each with their own 20 unique sand cave formations. These new sand caves include a brand new land crustacean known as the stone bug, with its new harvestable, the stone bug shell. I don't think we've seen much of the stone bug since it was added. How is the preview channel there, Matt White? Stanton racetrack locations. There's many of you, addition of many new track locations in Stanton. With this update, we included 6 new community-driven race locations in Persistent Universe with updated assets and set dressings to make each racing location unique and rewarding experience for players and their racing skills. These tracks include Hurston Lorville Gateways, The start of the time trials missions that leads to further attract unlocks. Daymar, Yadar Valley, Orison, Kaplan Stadium, Grimhex, Miners Levent, Utrepe? I forgot how you say that. Hey, Drakey. Like, it's the same with, like, a lot of those Greek words. I'm just like, Euterpe? Euterpe. Okay. Icebreaker and ArtCorp the Skyscraper. Greycat PTV Racetrack. Implementing a racetrack into Orison Vision Center on Crusader in the same location in the most recent Invictus launch week, designed for the Greycat PTV. That was added in 3.18? It felt like it was longer ago. Physicalized Cargo T0. This has allowed us to actually snap stuff to the cargo grid. This refactor of the ship cargo system is found to both purchase cargo and to be picked up and move around, and placed cargo in the cargo grid of a ship. The cargo system has been completely rewritten for this refactor. The cargo boxes that you see the ship are actual individual boxes, which can be added and removed from the grid via the use of the tractor beam and snapped to the grid for perfect placement. As part of this refactor, we've rebuilt the commodity kiosk UI and building blocks, which will be used to buy, sell cargo from the ship /player inventories, and had to update not only the standard trading commodities, but also the harvestable and mineable entities. I forgot how much was in 3.18. Security Post Korea will be taking a more central role in Stanton security. Crusader Security have moved a full-time staff and have begun storing confiscated contraband aboard. The station will be off limits to all civilians unless given prior authorization. Korea has undergone a full art redesign polish. Full art redesign Polish. This includes new evidence and contraband processing office, addition with interactable contraband dispenser, new traversal pathways, new color schemes and branding, and an updated set dressing and cover around the whole interior. The interior and exterior of Korea have been updated with armed admin AI and reinforcements, including the new Crusader security loadouts and police detectives in Kevlar. Inside Korea, criminal players will now be able to trigger a boss to spawn after killing several AI. After this boss has been killed, players will be able to loot them and find a code on their body that will unlock a terminal inside the evidence storage room. After unlocking, the players will be able to activate the contraband machine to dispense drugs. The player will be able to keep the drugs out of the dispenser, keep getting drugs out of the dispenser until a set amount of items are generated, randomized between 15 and 20 items. Once items have been retrieved, the security terminal will lock itself, and upon leaving the contraband room, the door should lock, not allowing players to access the area. Along with the Security Post Korea reactivation, we are also introducing a new type of mission, new type called Retake Location. Initially only at Security Post Korea, this new mission type is generated for players when a location deems itself under attack. For example, when X amount of locations population is killed. The mission will generate for players outside the location and will allow players to go to that location and lawfully enter and remove hostile attackers. Each attacker a player kills will grant them a bonus after completing the mission. Any players in the area contributing to the mission will be part of the overall reward. Whoa. Wasn't this removed? I remember this was for a while. Hey, Terrible Bishop. I was sick. The way DreamHack played it off is that CIG made that track for them. Oh, hey, Fishy. It's fine. It's fine. People using salvage to crash it, but excluding that, it runs fine. I've even had semi recoveries after 30Ks. I mean, you probably want to do everything you can to crash it. That's what I would do. If I was in that testing right now, if I found out salvaging crashes it, I'd just keep doing it until to prove the point. We'll be back in 20 minutes. Don't talk about anything too interesting while I'm gone. Just talking about 318. So excited for the silo, the Kylo? Clio. It's Clio. The Clio core showed off at DreamHack. Well, it might come in at some point. It definitely seems like they want to do that. Though I will say after the first 5 hours, for the I'll say after the first 5 hours for the first 30K, 30K has become more common. That sounds about right. Yeah, Gerbo. Yeah, you can find the track over at SCR, Star Citizen Racing. The course is called Clio Hazardous Islands. Most of the official tracks in game are just community tracks given a facelift. You would know because you're the current world record holder for the island hazards. Hey, that's good to know. I swear to God, like we just need to, the players just need to start making like community driven shit, and so CIG would just put it in game. So this is weird. The platform assault in Orison. I do want to know, does this still work or did they take it out entirely? The addition of Bounty, Assassinate, Clear All, and other missions take place on Inspiration Park platforms created for Siege of Orison. This includes eliminate all missions similar to the current UGF missions. For these islands, the player will be tasked with killing everyone in a given building. These mercenary missions are available from Crusader Industries and will have 3 difficulty curves, ranging from easy clear of 1 building to a hard clear of 3 buildings. Similar to eliminate all missions, eliminate specific missions will task players with killing a single or multiple bosses based on difficulty. For players to qualify to receive these missions, they first need to complete security work assessment for Crusader security. So they still work. The mini Siege of Orison missions still are on there. Okay. I haven't seen them spawn or even people talk about them, so. It works in very well. Okay. Platform missions are good. It's defend and retrieve confidential crate that are bugged off the drop-off terminals. Oh, okay. They're just like bunkers. Okay. They're just basically bunkers for Orison. I'd be surprised. I'm surprised they're still there. Because what I would have thought that they would have moved those missions to the unique like little island locations that they have in on Orison now, the different like sub areas. New missions, time trials, racing tier 0. Racing time trials have finally come to the PU. Players will be able to test their skills versus set times on the newly added racetracks around landmarks in the PU, earning rewards based on performance and even unlocking more tracks as they progress. Players can pick up the first racing missions on the outskirts of Lorville, and with enough racing prowess, get reputation to move up to the test time trials around Stanton. The rest of the time trials around Stanton. This Tier 0 implementation is focused on ships and includes reputation progression tracks. Note for PTU, currently after completing the Lorville racetrack time trial, reputation will unlock the rest of the racetracks at once. This is intended to help them test them during the PTU, and will have normal track unlocking later in the PTU. Okay. Yeah, not a capsule. I'm just kind of, because this is going through all of them, it's a lot, and I don't want to kind of go through every single patch over the course of like this. This is going to take me 2 hours to go through all of this. So, first implementation of salvage of the persistent universe, which includes both hold scraping as well as repair. This includes both performing hole stripping and repairs by hand, as well as hole stripping using systems aboard the Drake Vulture and Aegis Reclaimer. Using highly advanced compression technology, these tools can break down ship and vehicle exteriors, converting them to recycled material composite, or RMC, and store them in canisters attached. The player can then has the option to use the material repair their own ship and FPS multi-tool by filling in damaged areas, or they can sell this material as a commodity. This feature also has the addition of many new discoverable derelict ships in space around places like asteroid belts, with many more common smaller ships and much larger, rarer ships like for players to salvage. Salvaging while in a vehicle is a mode like mining. To be able to scrape the hull of a newly quote-unquote found wreck, the target must have its shields turned off, To enter and exit salvage mode, hit M. Players can right-click through and cycle through attached beams in the sub-item slot. By left-clicking, players can activate and deactivate the scraper beam. There are 2 modes players can be in while salvaging by pressing G, converging and fixed mode. Fixed mode acts like a weapons and points the salvage beam directly where the player aims the ship, while converging mode lets players gimbal the beams independently. Left alt plus mouse wheel will move converging beams converging point, while left alt plus right click will switch between vertical and horizontal converging mode. Players will need to manually remove filled storage boxes from the ship's salvage area using a handheld tractor beam or by converting it into RMC canisters for repairing. So, yeah, a lot of this was the repair, so. Have a great day, Gerbo. Thanks for hanging out. Can we talk about the red-headed stepchild planet in the room, ArcCorp? When will ArcCorp when will Arc get love? It needs to get an overhaul of the generation system, which is probably going to require a lot more work than they currently have, the like time that they currently have. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start working on it for the future.
Them biddies.
My favorite social studies teacher.
Hey, Dovakin, thank you so much for that. Them biddies. Yeah, it's one of those things where the way that they built ArcCorp is completely unique, because they did Microtech and Orison, and then using what they learned from Microtech and Orison, they redid Lorville. But Area 18 was the second planet they ever, their ArcCorp was the second planet they ever did. And so they had to completely come up with a new method for doing that. I don't think they're going to actually fix or change any of Area 18 or ArcCorp until they have the procedural building interiors. Once they have that, they'll go back and look at it. But the building interior stuff is stuff that they've been working on for over a year now. It'll probably take a little bit longer. I think they're actively working on it now, though. So it's one of those things where I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it next year, or at least got an update for it next year. Yeah, exactly, Terrible Bishop. Wow, this is fucking... I forgot how big this fucking thing was.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit.
Shit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No PPUs.
But you can never,
Never.
ever take away my space game.
Doverkeen 777s has subscribed.
Thank you so much, Dovaking777s, for that Twitch Rum sub. You're a very important pubber, very impressive pisser, very pedestrian. This is your fault. You for drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. You missed it earlier, Dovaking. We were playing some, we were actually playing video games for once. Oh, you were here? Awesome. We're in capsule quick. We're into capsule quick. I was briefly preoccupied. We're not really into capsule. I just need to go. I'm going through all 9 patches for Star Citizen for this year, and yeah, I've only just started, and I am already regretting doing this. It's so much. I want to see ArcCorp with PTVs to get between locations like the old days, though it was pretty chaotic but fun. I don't think we're gonna see that. It was because people just murder each other. All right, to utilize FPS hole scraping mechanics, players will first need to acquire a Grin multi-tool. What? The salvage and repair module for it. The Pyro multi-tool? Where the fuck does Grin come from? Huh. And the ammunition canister for the salvage and repair module. As will ship hole scraping, players will be able to strip away the hull of the ship while its shields are down and store recycled material composite into the canister. Players can cycle between salvage and repair mode by pressing B. A a which will allow them to either scrape away materials or use collected materials to repair the hull of the ship. God damn. Oh, you know Siechi was tired. Vehicle soft death. Introduction of vehicle quote-unquote soft death. Now if one of the ship's critical components is destroyed, the ship will remain intact but stranded, leaving its components and the crew hanging in the balance. Soft death is the key to the salvage career, as abandoned vehicles can be ripped apart for serious profit by ships like the Aegis Reclaimer and the all-new Drake Vulture. During ship soft death, players on board will not be killed and left stranded in the non-functional ship, with MFD, weapons, engines, and thrusters being disabled. Soft death will allow players to exit the pilot seat and turret seats to leave or enter the ship. Sandbox prison activities. I forgot that they added this one. Grin, Grey Cat Industrial. Oh, right. I keep forgetting that it has that abbreviation, like CNOU. Many patches. Expansion of prison gameplay with a new suite of missions and sandbox activities to give inmates more opportunities to earn merits or to aid their escape from prison. The prison and its mine are now filled with an emergent population of prison guards and civilian prisoners with lootable items. Players will be able to loot contraband contraband located throughout the prison, mines, and from bodies to sell the prison kiosk for merits. This includes a brand new prison escape delivery mission where players have to find and loot an item in the escape route and then deliver it to the nearest outpost. Upon doing this, the player will then have their criminal record wiped by the mission giver. Oh, that's cool. So you can actually escape, get to a nearest outpost, and wipe your credit. I didn't know you could do that. Players will now incur a punishment for suiciding in prison. However, they will retrieve their gear from their dead body. They can pay off this merit value instantly. Request landing has a new default key binding. Disable bed log around outposts. Improved layout, commodity pricing alerts, and removed physical pressure from distortion weapons. Ships and vehicles. It was the Drake Vulture. They added the Grey Cat multi-tool salvage attachment and Cortec persistent entity streaming. Implementation of the persistent entity streaming core technology into StarCitizen, making use of services such as the entity graph and replication layer. This will allow every dynamic object in a shard to persist within that shard, irrelevant of whether it was owned or held by a player. Hey, Artur. What we really need for prison is we need a building section or a section of Pleasure where you go into an area, you're given a certain number of ships which will spawn soft death, and your job is to go in with a multi-tool and strip those ships of the exterior, and then sell the RMC at a kiosk for additional merits. So you actually have salvage as part of the prison missions. And if you are clever, maybe CIG will have randomized loot or like weapons inside those ships, which are left in, like, say, the weapon slots, or maybe some other kind of contraband you can find, which you can then smuggle out. Salvage is perfect for a prison missions at stuff, you know, and it adds variety beyond just the mines. So I'm also a big fan of the idea, especially when they have NPC flyable ships of the Suicide Squad. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, Red Dwarf with their prison squads, which would go out and raid derelicts. That the one season that I hated the most, when all of the Red Dwarf crew was in prison. They do a hand mining thing too for the prison merits. That already exists. That's part of the prison gameplay. They're all dead, Dave. Yeah. All right, small derelict outpost expansion in Stanton. Addition of 30 new small derelict outposts across more planet-side locations in the Stanton system. These are additional variants that are already placed in Microtech in 317. These location features a collection of ruined outposts in varying degrees of degrade, along with missions and AI inhabitants.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you
Yeah, the
can
Canaries.
never,
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
ever
I hate that season.
take away my space game.
TLove21 just resubscribed for 2 months. 3.22 is stable and fun.
Thank you so much for that 2 months of support there, T-Love. You're a very important pup. We're very impressive. We're very pedestrian. This your fault. Drink night. Shots and tears in chat. Y'all shots and tears. Glad to hear that it's 3. I mean, I played a little bit of 3.22 today. I think it's the first time I played it live, and it was fun. It was good. No. We did 3.22 on Sunday, didn't we? So yeah, no, we've done it as well. There are no bad seasons of Red Dwarf. There are underwhelming seasons of Red Dwarf. But I agree, there's nothing that's terrible. It's not my favorite season. My favorite season is, I think, season 6. I'm sorry, series 6. It's British, and the Brits have weird decisions of seasons and series. When they brought it back to Kachansky for like the prison season series, I was just like, they kind of wasted her a lot for that. I mean, I guess she was in the season before that, and she was all right, but like, it was just weird. And then like the prison season was even more kind of like, there are some great moments, like have a happy period. That's fucking amazing. Crichton not having a gender, so they put him in with the women's prisoners, female prisoners. JK assassinating himself was fantastic. That was like the first half of that season was amazing, and then the second half was kind of and then when they got into the prison season, it was like and then the season after that was great. Yeah, we did the heist mission with moderate success. That was what was not very stable at that time. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the Canaries. You can even call them Canaries. That'd be a great little callback to having them. The idea of basically prisoners being able to volunteer for missions where they get loaded up into like a cutlass steel, because it's got to be a cutlass steel, and given like stun weapons, and they get dropped off at a location, and they have to like stun all of the opponents, and like drag them back and like lock them up, or like go drag them to like a location and throw them in like some prison pods once you've secured the area, and then return back to the cutlass steel and go back to prison, and you get credits. Freaking brilliant. I like that idea. All right. New rivers in Stanton. Dozens of additional rivers with biome-specific object rule sets on bodies of water, distributing these around Microtech and Hurston. Added parallax interior window shader for buildings around all landing zones. Restricted areas V3. Complete rework of the restricted area tech around landing zones. Instead of ships being autopiloted away or destroyed upon entering restricted area, players are now given more freedom to fly and maneuver around cities upon entering a restricted area. Players will now be given a text warning, a countdown, and a red arrow pointing towards the exit. If the countdown ends, they will go further into this, or they go further into a restricted area. The player will be teleported into a safe location. The ship will be impounded, and they will receive a misdemeanor crime stat. This feature also applies to ground vehicles. Players outside of the vehicle won't receive the countdown, but will be teleported to safety if they venture too far from into a restricted area. Caterpillar crash sites improvements. Added base AI to populate Caterpillar crash sites. Added kill specific and kill all missions, including a general Polish pass and visual improvements. Derelict settlements, Reclaimer V2. General Polish pass to the derelict Reclaimer settlement, including additional buildings and general visual improvements. Ghost Hollow? I think it's the only one that I know of. AI. NPC loadout updates. Updated to many NPC loadouts throughout Stanton with new shopkeeper outfits, earth fashion dress, hospital surgeon gowns, outfits, service hats and aprons in shops, and armor sets. All right. Gameplay. Courier delivery missions update. The addition of new local courier mission around Stanton, each planet. These new missions are based on the local delivery companies of each planet in Stanton and give players more focused area of deliveries. There are 4 new delivery options, a reputation based in your area where you're in. Red Wind, Ling Family, Kovalex, and UDM. These new missions can be acquired after completing the intro missions for the local delivery company. Added the quality of life inventory updates. Added the ability for long-term persistence items to stack in inventory. Added a transfer all button for inventories that work based on selected filters. Added visual feedback attempting to quick move an item that won't fit into larger inventory. Implemented toggle option in the top right of a player's inventory to always show hide item ports or for equipping gear. And law system improvements. Holy fuck. I'm not going to go through all of this, but effectively what this was, if I remember correctly, is that CS1 through 2 will not give you bounty hunting markers and won't give you crime stats. You can still pay it off. You can reach CS3, you can pay it off, but security will attack and request players to surrender abandoned ships. Players are now able to surrender at fine kiosks found in rest stops and landing zones, should they not be able to afford to pay their fines. As before, surrendering gives a player 25% discount, and prison sentence will lower the threshold for they lowered the thresholds. Yeah, it basically made it a little bit better. Bed logout is now blocked in landing areas, and claim jumper missions have been temporarily disabled for 3.18. I don't know if those are still around. Ships and vehicles. Ground vehicle speed changes. They've done a pass in ground vehicle speeds with some gaining and some losing max speeds. They fucked ground vehicles in 2023. I think that's the lesson I have learned is that CIG still has not a goddamn idea what they're doing with ground vehicles. I agree with it. There's QPan. No. Detox did a fantastic breakdown of what CIG, why CIG doesn't know what the fuck they're doing with ground vehicles. And I'm planning on doing a video specifically on the Storm and how it both reflects CIG's problems with making vehicles and problems with understanding gameplay. It's going to tie into things like the Reclaimer and the Redeemer and other ships that I feel like, and like the Rock DS, ships which don't have a lot of value, that CIG is making because they want to, and also kind of illustrates the problem that CIG has of the listlessness and they don't have no idea what they're doing with ground vehicles, but they want to sell them because they're popular. So the claim jumpers are still in. That's good. I mean, they are going to do so the ships aren't flying turrets. They're doing that with the new atmospheric updates that they're doing, but that's not going to be in the game for a while. And that's not even the thing. The problem comes down to what are ground vehicles good for? They just don't have a lot of value outside of very limited and very player-focused ideas rather than systemic ideas. There's no reason to use a vehicle outside of because you want to. This sounds all-inclusive. Will it give us head pats, cookies, and all the expense-paid vacation to Sweden? No. But I'm going to focus it mostly on the Storm, but use the Storm as a good example of, like, all of the problems with both of these issues. Speaking of things CIG has no idea on, what's your thoughts about a video/captain's table on the lack of accessibility options? I'm definitely going to want to do that in the new year. It's a good idea. Hazel, just to kind of like talk about, the CIG has a problem, and that problem is they don't care about some basic features, which should be one of those things that they do at the very beginning. And I get there's reasons why, like for instance, they don't want to try to do UI changes because UI changes now will mean that they have to redo them again with the new HUDs and all that sort of thing. But if they aren't, that should be the first thing they do. That should be something they've integrated into the HUDs natively, because how the fuck are you going to release Squadron 42 without the ability to toggle HUDs properly, toggle HUD colors so that you can, you know, access, like see your freaking screen and other aspects of accessibility. Sure, Hazel. Is that the issue comes with, it's not just like choosing your color, because that's a big one, but it's also things like CIG's reliance on noise, like noise indicators, with no options for like visual feedback and no like tactile feedback kind of stuff. Brightness, there's a lot of other issues like that. Maybe in some difficult terrain, but the problem is difficult terrain is you can't drive ships. You can fly ships over difficult terrain because terrain sucks. No, I'm not trying to. There's a lot of problems with accessibility, but it also comes down to things like CIG doesn't have a fucking report button. They don't have a mute button option. Like both of those things should be basic for issues. For issues from just this toxic ass player base, which we do have. They don't pop up a lot in my experience because I mute the chat, but I know enough about about Spectrum to know that holy shit, Star Citizen's like, you know, main demographic has a problem with brain rot. Yeah, I mean it's a big issue. I mean, if I'm going to do something on ground vehicles, I'm going to bring people like Detox in to talk about it, because Detox actually uses ground vehicles more often than most people. So, let's get back to this. Greatly increased the hull health of the 600i. Vortec enabled Gen 12 renderer. Physics options, optimizations, made many server performance improvements. An updated commodity kiosk, and building block tech. And then Arena Commander. It's the start of focus of quality of life and bug fixing following discussions and feedback from players, as well as successful integration of persistent entity streaming into the module. We're extremely excited to elevate AC to a better state and encourage players to contribute IC reports. Yeah, so that was the big one. Modes. Increase the player limit from free flight from 8 to 24. Decrease the required player count for Last Stand from 6 to 2. Remove third-person camera from elimination. Last Stand now displays your objective in the top right of the screen. Dual Battle Royale and Squadron Battle have been limited to flight, light, and medium combat ships. Classic Race now has had its allowed ship list expanded. Maps. Adjusted Skybox and Dying Star to match the upcoming Pyro system. Dying Star has undergone visibility patch, reducing cloud density, glare, and size of smoke particle effects, which will lead to poor visibility and motion sickness in some players. All right. So that was 3.18. Now, as we all know, 3.18 caused many problems. And mostly, I would say, arguably, 3.18 was one of the worst patches we've ever had, not because it was fundamentally bad. I think a lot of people experienced where if you could get into the game, it was great. There was a lot of additions and updates which improved the performance and quality of life of Star Citizen. It made the game funner. There was a lot more variety. It was a good patch when it came to the content it added. The problem is that PES broke everything. So a lot of people could just literally not log into the game. So while some people could, other people couldn't. And so it wasn't a situation where like we all collectively suffered like 2.0 or 3.0 or like 2.0 for those of you who don't know. We had crash timers where we would set a timer when we get into a server, and we'd see how long the server would get up to. Usually it was like 20 or 30 minutes at best. Sometimes it would be a couple of minutes before they crashed. 3.0 was didn't crash a lot, but it was like we had 5 FPS to play the game. So it was a jittery mess. We would be lucky if we got 20 FPS. It was a terrible experience. But everyone had the same experience. There was no fundamental, like you didn't have, if you had a better rig, you didn't necessarily do better performance. And then when 3.18 dropped, it was such just a roll of the dice entirely. And that was the problem. Now, CIG knew that it was going to be a problem. They knew it was going to be ahead of time, but they didn't anticipate where things would break. They anticipated some things would break, but not the login issues. That was their biggest problem. So, and as we all know, 3.18 suffered because it was released in PTU in... When was it released in PTU? Because I want to say it was released in PTU in 2022 in like October or like September. Is this time last year? So it was like December of 2022. Because it was in PTU for, I think it was in November. It was either November or October when it went into Evocati. And then when it went into first wave PTU was around this time. And then it went into wave all by like February. Because this released in March, if I remember correctly. Like late March. So it was the longest PTU patch of all time. So it already suffered from the fact that everyone had been kind of burned out from it. And so they had to change a lot of how they developed the game, just in general. Like the whole preview channel thing exists because of how bad 3.18's launch was. The CIG just literally cannot afford to break the game like they did with 3.18 anymore. To be fair, Aimless, aren't you the one that like gets locked out of Star Citizen? Like you can't log into Star Citizen for weeks at a time on average. Like it always happens to you. Whenever that bug props back up again, it's always you who has it. You're like my canary in the coal mine if I know there's something wrong, because you'll be like, I can't play. It's like, okay, so there's something CIG did again. Hey, Nightcub. Exactly. As long as Aimless is able to play the game, I'm okay. I'm like, okay, so it's a good patch if Aimless can play. What's shaking? We're going over all of the patches for Star Citizen, one patch at a time from this year, to talk about the overall patch experience. So, April 12th. Actually, yeah, let me pull this up again. No, I have to pull up Galactipedia. I already did. There we go. It actually says at the top when it was released. So, This was released on March 10th, 2023. A month later, April 12th, we have Alpha 318.1. Initial ship delivery. They changed how you pinned your vehicle, so now you'd have to hit deliverable. Arena Commander customization temporarily disabled. Updated density manager values for more aggressive removing and unneeded items in the PU to improve server client performance. And that was it. So it's just a couple of things they added to try to improve the whole thing, make sure that people could get their ships. And this was released April 21st, so about a week or so after 3.18.1, 3.2 came out. 18.2 came out. They updated Density Manager again, made further entitlement process improvements, and updated login queue times, and then a lot of fixes. So most of these, the .x patches, as we know, the x.x patches are just more like quality of life updates. They usually don't add stuff, they might add a ship. 3.19, this was released on May 17th. All right, so this added mission salvage contracts tier 0. Addition of salvage contracts to the PU. This new contract called Salvage Resource Rush is a mission where a faction or a mission giver requests the scrapping of a derelict or husk in their possession, either on the ground, at a junkyard, or in space and debris field. Players accepting the mission are tasked with to scrap the derelict to the best of their ability and sell the RMC to a shop. Once the player is finished with scrapping the derelict, they can complete the mission in their mobiGlass. This mission will have 3 variations: lawful, lawless, and unlawful. Lawful is obviously you can go there and it's secured by sentries or centurions. Lawless is a location not secured in any way, and unlawful is places that you can't go to, they will shoot at you. Ghost Hollow Reclaimer PvP mission. Adding a new mission log. Oh, I don't think they called it Ghost Hollow. Well, they did call it Ghost Hollow. It was always Ghost Hollow. But I think internally they're still calling it the Reclaimer. The Reclaimer settlement. Yeah. Adding a new mission type of the Ghost Hollow crash site in Microtech, making use of the comm arrays, as well as an AI nav mesh. This mission will create PvP encounters where players will need to fight for control over terminals for a chance at big credit payouts. This is a mission with outlaw UEC terminals in the Reclaimer Derelict. When activate, they generate UEC that anybody can withdraw, creating a PvP encounters between players trying to control the terminals. To start the terminals, the comm arrays must be disabled. If that is done, the terminals can be activated in the tower next to the derelict ship. To start this event at Ghost Hollow Crash Site, a player will need to disable Stanton 4 comm array above Microtech, which will enable the terminals and mobiGlass communications to send to all nearby players. And then the new PE, the NPE, New Player Experience, an initiative for improving the initial 30 minutes of gameplay experience, which will help players understand the context of the world and introduce them to some Star Citizen's basic features. This update focuses on experiences on the Area 18 and Bikini Point. As players enter the main menu to the Join Universe, they'll be prompted with an option to join as normal and or accept the New Player Experience mission chain, which will set the spawn to Area 18 and beginning of walkthrough. Being an NPE, we're going to leave the details off to give you the experience for doing this as close to a new player as possible with informations. Locations, Lorville Skyline 2.0. So 3.19 is when we got the new Lorville. Added a volumetric atmosphere with clouds to ArcCorp and Hurston. So we got clouds to ArcCorp and Hurston. I believe it was 3.17 when we got the clouds to Microtech, and it was 3.16 that we got it to Orison. So, or to Crusader. So this was the last added of the major patches of the oh gosh, what is it? Of the clouds, of the planets. Performance polish pass for atmospheric and clouds. Moved the location of Area 18 ASOP terminals closer to hangar elevators. Updated building blocks shop UI for Kasaba and Dumpers Depot with shop-specific styles. FPS AI combat. With 319 comes a quality of life overhaul for FPS AI behavior, accuracy and behavior. This is intended to make AI feel more realistic, lifelike, and in some ways more forgiving without pinpoint deadly accuracy at times, which is sometimes something that has caused many of us much frustration while clearing out baddies from underground facilities. NPCs should now have a better range of accuracy modifiers, which will ramp up accuracy based on many factors like seeing and losing sight of a target, how long the enemy sees its target after regaining sight on them, mercy timers to assess how much of a threat the target is, and their loadouts. This also implements firing duration and cooldown for rapid fire and other checks, with mercy timers that adjust accuracy when determining if players are a threat or not. That was when they started adding some of the new FPS stuff in, but of course the servers are still hot garbage, so they don't work that well. Tractor beam tier 0.5 item detaching and detaching. Oh, this is the big one. Yeah, I forgot about this one. Hey, Blackhawk. Enabling handheld tractor beams to attach and detach items such as ship components and allowing players to sell those salvage items for profit. This iteration of the tractor beam gameplay will add the functionality to the tractor beam attachment of the multi-tool to detach and attach items from ships' item ports. This functionality can either be used for component exchange, replacement, or restocking, or to scavenge other ships to use or make a profit. Players can lock and unlock the ability to remove weapons and components from the ship with a new port unlock option in the inner thought, which is in the cockpit using the new port unlock keybind default. I'm going to say that while aiming at a component with a tractor beam to detach it, hold B and it will highlight the object with the glow around its perimeter shape. Left click and drag the component loose from its socket and hardpoint while attaching components. An AR marker will appear to give players guidance on correct orientation to attach the component correctly. If the hollow outline is green, simply let go of the item and it will attach. If the hollow outline is yellow, rotate the item until the outline turns green. If the hollow outline is red, the item does not fit in the item port requirements. And then the mining balance. This is the other big one that came in. With 319 came updates for both ship and FPS mining with wide-sweeping balance changes to sell prices, refining effectiveness and cost, component stats, multi-crew mining efficiency, mineable difficulties, and masses with larger asteroids. Resource distribution, as well as the addition of new minables. The goal in 319 is to make multi-crew mining more attractive and even all materials to make them more lucrative instead of a select few. Which they did pretty well. I've heard pretty good things about that. Ship mining. Resource distribution has been updated to reflect a more distinct distribution of minerals throughout Stanton, which means that several locations per planet moon now hold exclusive resources rather than full random resources. Additionally, we defined the so-called standard resources that are given in each mineable you encounter. The rest of the elements have chances to appear in those rocks. The updated resource distribution is also reflected in the trading availability and refining capabilities. Every mining gadget, head, and sub-item has full balance pass for the stats, costs, and efficiencies. Every item that is connected to mining gameplay loop was updated to target specific resources to be mined better or worse depending on the setup of your mining head. Multi-crew mining has also been balanced with the mole getting a buff on instability if the same lasers fire at the same rock, while the prospector will get a punishment for multiple prospectors firing at the rock instability. That was the one thing that I would say about 319 is I believe 319 was the one that basically made prospector mining pointless. So new mineable is introduced that is only available in cave systems and has a high value to encourage players to go mining in their FPS tools outside of prison. Changes in the mining. I haven't even seen anyone try to go after those in a while. Changes in mining update. Resource update. Concept of mineable rarities for resources. Standard, base resources of a mineable, always a part of any rock like iron. Common, chance of to be part of a rock like beryl. Uncommon, chance to be part of a rock like gold. And rare, chance to be a part of like quantanium. Dedicated location resources have the standard rarity, like aerial having iron and quartz. Updated properties for the resource. Each resource should affect the properties of the rock based on their amount. Updated mass for minables. Resource composition affects the mass of the rock. More variant rock size masses. Small ones that do not need breaking to massive ones that require multiple players. Additional rock types with unique chances for resource compositions. Removed diamonds temporarily. FPS mining update. Added Genolite as an FPS mineable. That's the one I've not seen in a while. Very rare, but very valuable, and can only be sold at admin centers at major landing zones and Grimhacks. Allowed mouse wheel to control throttle. Adjusted difficulty of hand mining various nodes. Resource refining and prices. Updated resource prices and demands at TDDs. The further away from the standard material, the more the profit. Updated refinery yield for the time and certain material to encourage longer distances and travel for the best money per hour. Full item rework. It's thick. Mining heads now have different min-max laser power. Mining heads have different laser power per size. Mining heads have different extraction speeds, where there is also difference between size 1 and size 2. Mining heads have different ideal distances. Updated resistance values to all mining items. Updated instability mitigating values for all mining items. Unified properties for all mining modules and mining gadgets. Buffed active modules drastically. Added new property exclusive to mining gadgets called cluster modifier that clusters elements together. If you split a rock, it increases the chance for the elements that are together are broken to one piece. Filtered on some items that remove the inert from rocks you're collecting. Re-added arbor size 1 and size 2 mining head variants to shopping locations. Sub-item slots on mining heads are different between size 1 and size 2. Resistance reduction is now multiplicative. Made instability updates. UI update. Difficulty forecast that tells you how easy it is to break a rock you're facing. Reordered some elements of the UI. Details of the mining new items are currently equipped. Details in your current cargo. Clear scanning display and clear explanation is what's happening during scanning. Synergy tractor beam. Allowed to detach and attach mining modules heads, sacks, and place in-ship inventory. Density manager mission updates. Updated the density manager system so that mission entities and other things dropped by missions such as corpses, guns, and debris will be cleared up when the area is streamed out. As we reuse mission locations such as UGFs, the location will then be cleaned up for all mission items when the mission streamed out, while player drop things remain as usual. Made insurance claim time and price increases to all ships. Reduce the inventory stock of ship weapons, missiles, and ship components sold in rest stops and LEOs. And temporarily remove the Orison platform's FPS missions for 319, because that's what I remember. They removed the Orison platform's missions from 319. That's what I remember. So I do remember it was there. Temporarily removed Claim Jumpers missions for 319. Ships and vehicles. Added Corsair, Cutter, and C8R Pisces to in-game shops. Yeah, it was the Drake patch, wasn't it? Cortec. Optimized radar performance while scanning large amounts of cargo boxes. ASOP UI performance optimizations. And NPC performance optimizations. That's it. That was 319. And then we get 319.1. Feature updates. ASOP technical refactor. With 319.1 comes technical refactor of ASOPs. While this is mostly a transparent update under the hood, it does have few key observable advantages and fixes. Key changes in this refactor are removal of the waiting for ship spawning. Ship delivery time is now 0 by default. Optimize the update on screen for information by not having to requery the list after a ship's state. Fixed multiple buttons being displayed. Okay, this is just a lot of this is just stuff they've fixed. Transfer to storage. It was just all kind of quality of life updates. Tractor beam quality of life now ignores rotation when attaching mining items, gimbal, salvage items, and rockets. Mineable scanning update made it so that the scan results on the mining HUD account for active laser modifiers without having to shoot the mineable with a laser. Add Fury, Fury MX, and Drake Corsair to free flight, racing, and Pirate Vandal Swarm modes in AC. Ships and vehicles. Fury Polish, because it's capital. Fury Polish. Made improvements to rotational performance and fuel usage. increased Corsair maneuvering thruster HP. Cortec updated Toby SDK to 7.4.2.17. Should fix a conflict with OBS WebSocket and bad actor using Mobi. Awesome. And this was Invictus, right? June 15th, yeah, Invictus. Which is about a month after 319. All right, so this is interesting. So this, for those of you who don't know, is the key. This happens every year. There are 2 times when playing Star Citizen is pointless. After Invictus and after December. And like between January and March. Because CIG does nothing to update the game between January and March and between June or July and September. So most of the winter and most of the summer are just, you might as well go play other games, go enjoy something else as they're updating, because CIG just isn't going to do much, which is always a pain in the ass. All right, before we get to 320 though, because this is the kind of the change of the times, I will say up to this point, there's been a lot of additions, but it's almost all, based off what I can see, it's almost all focused on mining and salvage. Those are the main focuses of the early half of the year. And there are some improvements like the Arena Commander stuff and some small updates for like HUD stuff and like but even like the tractor beam stuff is salvage focused. It's not anything else. It's mostly focused on the salvage aspects of things. So it was focused on that, and then PES was a nightmare to deal with a lot of it. So, CIG, guys, the Corsair's maneuvering thrusters aren't its problem. The main engines can't fly without all of them. You railgun one of them to death and the whole damn ship crashes. But it normally is left in pretty stable state. It depends. It really depends on the status of the last ship. So, like, generally speaking, summer is a toss-up. Sometimes it's a better state, and the winter spring is usually another toss-up. Between January and March is another toss-up. I'd say January and March is a bigger variable because it usually is updated in February. Usually like mid-January, early February is when they do another big kind of hot fix. But rarely does CIG do hot fixes over the summer. Like summer is that kind of, no one works in the summer. So keep that up there. Update if you know that. If you understand, like, if you're just new to Star Citizen, this is the kind of thing you're about to enter the twilight zone of Star Citizen development, where nothing happens for a while. I'll be right back, chat. Don't go anywhere. Your fun like sounds are on. So.
Weapons free, y'all.
Drugs.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an outlaw.
What you're looking for, New War? Hey, Star Maniac. I'm doing okay. How are you? Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. I'm waiting. I'm gonna wait for the ad to end before we get into this intermission. I just had to use the restroom because it's been an hour. It's been over an hour and a half. Yeah, it's about right. It's been an hour since I started talking about the patches. So what we're seeing here is an unusual change. So what I just said about how we're going into a drought may be old CIG. New CIG may be more interested in doing more routine updates, because I will say CIG has done something that they have never done before, which is when they released 3.20, they released 3.21 fairly quickly after it, and then of course 3.22 just recently before the end of the year. Which, 3 major patches like that is unusual for Star Citizen. To be fair, we actually only got 4 major patches, because 3.21 was called 3.21 explicitly because it was supposed to have the replication layer added to it. Okay. We don't even know if replication layer is going to be added to 3.22. So it's really, we've got a 3.20, a 3.20.1, and a 3.20.2 is really what it is. So. He was really throwing up, remembering 3. I had to pee so I could like purge myself of all of that hateful memories. From the preview test, it's running fine. I don't believe the preview tests that we have are the full version though. I believe that is just the basic iteration of it, because they have no they don't have the crash, the 30K. Recovery, where like it crashes and then comes back with the new system. The system that they showed off at CitizenCon. I don't think the one that they showed off at the preview channel doesn't have that. I don't think. Usually they would explicitly say that, and they said in the past that those are 2 different things. They're going to work on one and then the other. And CIG is going on vacation. In fact, they're probably already on vacation at this point. Vector testing makes me a bit more optimistic. Yeah, we might see a 3.21 or 3.22 with the replication layer, but anything can happen. Like see if it is causing problems at all, CIG is likely not going to put it in a 3.2 in a major 3.22 any patch, because they want to make sure that it is not a three-peat of 3.18. That is what the preview channel is for. It's to test it and to see if they can get feedback and figure out what's wrong with it. Replication layer is in, it's just not separated into its own server. That's true. The replication layer came with 3.2 or 3.18. But when we're not talking about replication layer, we're talking about the separation of the replication layer. That's just a shorter version of saying that. Because while the replication layer exists, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, which is supposed to be its own individual service separated from the game server, which currently is part of the game server. little bit of hope is still surviving, I guess. I think we're in a position where I think CIG is becoming more confident, and they have a little bit, I've said this before, they have a little bit more swagger. And I know people are like, wait, Paul, swagger can have a negative connotation. It's like, that's why I use the word swagger, because I don't know if it's a positive or negative thing. Because I think they have confidence, but it's more than just confidence. They have maybe a little bit of arrogance coming in. There's a lot of cool stuff that they have. They've been waiting for to put in there, which in some cases is rightly deserved because they work their asses off for this stuff. But this is CIG we're talking about, and when Jared, when Disco Lando came on and said, "This is what's happening in the first half of the year," I and so many other Star Citizen fans were like, we're screaming, like, no, don't say it, don't do it. And yeah, he had the caveat is these are planned, not 100% going to happen. These are what we have planned. It doesn't matter. The second he said these are what are planned, people already carved it into their promise boards. From what I've experienced in the replication layer, is right now is the preview functioning as a semi-backup server where you end up on when the server 30K is before the rep 30K is, but that's just the feeling. Okay. The other devs were also having mild strokes. The fact that he said 4.0 is coming for summer 2023 or 2024. Of course, he didn't say that. He said planned for summer 2024. I was just like, no, God, oh, fuck, Jared, why? So we know it's not gonna fucking hit summer 2024. It's gonna come out at the earliest fall. Yes, scheduled. All of these are important. Those are all important weasel words that people should know and they should definitely take to heart. The problem is that people don't take those things to heart. They hear the date and that's all they care about. And you know people are plotting so that when that date slips, they're going to talk about how CIG is the worst developer of all time and they fail in all of their promises and they're going to sue them or going to get mad or whatever. So get ready to answer the call. Just hold the line. You're a developer, so you listen to the words. I get it. I understand 100%. But most fans aren't or don't. And it's just my experience, especially with new people coming in. So CIG is not responsible for the stupidity of people's inability to comprehend. They aren't, but it doesn't matter because those people will cause chaos and like throw shit around because they can, which makes a lot of people's lives more miserable, especially people like myself, because it makes me go, fuck. I'm just gonna get about 15 people coming on being like, damn, like right when that happens, because people love that Schadenfreude. And it's just like, motherfucker, I don't give a shit. You know better than that. But I am having a bit more fun in the preview. I'm just having more fun in the preview, watching the numbers from the servers. Yeah. Goodbye, Mr. Jared. A trap opens under him and fall into a tank full of sharks. Also, they aren't going to hit first half of 2024. They're going to hold it for CitizenCon 2024. That is the rule of thumb, and this is not something that is CIG official or even anyone has indicated at CIG. This is just from my experience, is that if you're going to put something in the summer for CIG, because remember how I just said summer is a dead zone, if you're going to put something in the summer for CIG, it is not coming out in the summer. It will probably come out at CitizenCon or around CitizenCon. Why? Hype. Or just time. There are two times when CIG goes on vacation. One is they have a built-in 2-week vacation starting this weekish, next weekish, but they come back in early January. I know many CIG employees, and I have to always kind of caveat this because a lot of people don't know. I know a lot of people who work at CIG because they were fans of Star Citizen that I knew back when I was first starting making content, and now they work for CIG. And in my experience talking with those fans, who are now CIG employees, a lot of them will take extended time off connected to that 2 weeks. I knew an employee who took a month, the full month of January off because they had their time to build up. So they started in December and they came back at the very end of January, early February. And because they had the time off and they wanted to take an extended time off. So, and they're not alone. There are plenty of employees who do the same. And in the summer, when, you know, CIG employees who have kids or spouses and they want to go on vacations or travel, there's time, they'll probably use that time as well. And CIG almost never factors in those people's work into their estimations. I mean, I'd love to talk to their project managers. I didn't get a chance to talk about them about this, but like, I don't know if they do, but it feels like they don't estimate that. They always forget that factor. Like, the summer and the winter is, you're going to have your most important people leave for several weeks because they have vacation. Because that's when people take vacations. So, yeah, I followed you before you became the AstroPub. A lot of friends became employees. Yeah. It's usually right after Invictus. Yeah, is when they take all that time off. They do have to be careful on what they say due to them selling things for a largely unfinished game. Other companies have done it and got hit in court for varying things. Yeah. Now, yeah, management overlooks that, but they do give it to their employees. Oh yeah, 100%. They definitely give it to their employees, but I think that the problem is that the project managers, I don't think, factor that in when they come into a lot of their estimates. So. Maybe your son will become a CIG employee. Depends on how old your son is. It's a good thing to do, but at the same time, it's one of those things that I think they don't factor in. So like, while it feels like it's endless crunch, I think a lot of it is CIG is a team of 1,000 people, and not every project is going to come to fruition at the same time. So the people who are in charge of, say, Pyro are not necessarily the same people who are in charge of everything else in Stanton. Some of them have some crossover, some of them don't. So when they do the Pyro preview, that Pyro playground, it was likely because they had a bunch of stuff that they wanted to have people test, and they wanted to get stuff out there. But it was limited groups of people who were finished because of a sprint they were working on, while other people were working on other things. So it just so happens that CIG seems to be dropping stuff right after another because each team seems to be finishing right after another, which is, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to piss off a lot of people, but staggered development. That's what staggered development is, and that's why we have it like this. And so many people were shitting on staggered development, being like, it's no. Like, this is what staggered development is supposed to be. It's to give people time to work on it. It just takes a fuck ton of time to get it integrated. Like, it's literally staggered. You stagger so that, like, this person works for 6 to 9 months on this project, and then, this group is like 2 months ahead and they're working on a different project. And so you have the people who are the upstream teams work on projects, and when they get done, the downstream teams work on it. And because no team is working exactly on the same things as they kind of work, they're all finishing at different times, which means that every patch has a large number of stuff because it's staggered. They just stagger their different times. The other thing that's going to help them is the traditional dead gaps, is the tsunami of folks coming from Squadron 42. Yeah, and a lot of that stuff which is finished, it just needs to be integrated, which won't take as much time as the actual development of it in the first place. So right now I'm covering other staff's desk, so it should be fine. They're most likely to do the same. Yeah. They made $114 million this year, so they're doing something right in development that people with money, jobs, see. Yeah. there's definitely some improvement, but it's important to keep all of this stuff in mind now that we're going to talk about 3.20. All right. All right, new patches. The F8C Lightning came out in 3.20. Localization support. Wow. I didn't know that. That's not something I realized was in 3.2. Chinese Simplified, Chinese Traditional, English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Polish, Portuguese, Spanish Latin America, and Spanish Spain. Nice. Will now allow local global INI file. So basically, they didn't set up localizations, but they allowed fan-made translations to be imported into the game. That's cool. That's interesting to go back and look at these patch notes because of those sorts of things. I don't think you're hearing audio of localizations. I think a lot of that is just the subtitle localizations, but I could be wrong. Gameplay added updated ground vehicle handling and tweaks, easier throttle control and suspension tweaks. Again, 2024 was the year, or 2023 was the year that CIG just fucking dumped on ground vehicles. Some bug fixes, some bug fixes, technical. Okay, so these are the known issues. What did they add in 3.2? Seraphim Station, right. They got rid of Alisar. Automated cargo transfer and new cargo packing system. Alpha 3.2 includes an addition of a new automated cargo transfer experience for the PU for the whole sea. The existing cargo transaction system, which other ships will use for this release, will instantly pop all the purchased cargo into the ship or instantly remove all the sold cargo off the ship after the transaction has completed. The whole sea, however, requires a new experience where the player, after buying or selling the cargo at the commodity kiosk, will be prompted to pick it up and drop it off at the loading area. To do so, the player retrieves their vehicle and then hails the location cargo's services to get assigned a loading area, similar to getting assigned a landing area from ATC. After flying the ship to the loading area, they'll be prompted to stop moving and then extend the spindles on their ship. Once their ship is ready, cargo will be added to the cargo grids in the ship over the period approximately 5 or so minutes, depending on the size of the load. Currently, these boxes will just pop into place if a player moves or someone enters the area. Transfer will be interrupted until the disruption is addressed or the loading area is eventually revoked. After transfer is completed successfully, the player will promptly leave the area, prompted to leave the area, eventually getting a warning for impounding if they do not. With the changes for the whole sea, comes a complete rewrite of how cargo system places cargo into ships. Any ships, not just the whole sea. Previous versions of the system only dealt with 1 SCU containers and could be fairly simple logic for placement or removal. We are now supporting various sized boxes that can be placed in cargo holds. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 24, and 32, as well as supporting various orientations of placement in the cargo grid to work around grid obstructions. This includes temporary tractor beam strength changes to support the attachment and detachment of those various sized boxes using the tractor beam. New mission, illegal cargo salvage cover-up mission. Salvage cover-up mission is cover-up is a variation of the salvage missions. These new missions come as new illegal mission contract called the Tar Pits to cover up new mission contract called the Tar Pits to cover up perpetrator of a crime. In this case, Ninetales, who want to keep their involvement under the radar. You are tasked to whole script the entire ship to remove the Ninetales paint job before the evidence is discovered by security. If security forces arrive before you manage to perform the cover-up, the security ships will spot the whole colors, report back, and you will fail, and be attacked if at the location. Do it in time, and the Tar Pits will pay you handsomely for your efforts and your silence. New ships, the Whole Sea and the Mirai Fury LX. Core technology, HDMR up implementation. High dynamic range HDR is now enabled for players with compatible monitor. This is activated by Windows, going to Windows Display Settings and setting Use HDR, then open StarCitizen, select HDR in the Graphics tab. And then this is feature updates. Speaking of, did they fix the whole seats problem getting stuck, unable to undock? I think they did. I don't use that the whole sea, so anyone in chat may have to know that. Props for that. Localization is important and not just translating. Underground Facilities Rastar Update. The Rastar tools, which is used to quickly build points of interest on planet surfaces by combining pre-built modules together with the click of a button. They also changed the way that which mission locations are set up and streamed in. Essentially, they're the future of creating planetary locations. This update moves our original UGFs over to the new Rastar tool workflow. All UGFs have been replaced in the same positions as they were previously, with the settings they previously had applied to them were reapplied where appropriate. This means functionally, the current locations should be no different than they were before in the mission side of things, and also art-wise should be the same barring some minor adjustments to the exterior layout of each location. They just transferred everything to Rastar. Gameplay, wheeled vehicle handling improvements. Updates to improvements to current ground vehicle movement parameters and simulation, allowing for more robust tuning and identity between various ground vehicles. Yeah, it's currently garbage. AI ship difficulty rebalance. Until now, there's been a very small pool of ships available for use in AI missions. With this new change, we have included every ship able to QT into the mix for both criminals and civilians. Though some that didn't make the sense for criminals have not been added, like the Cutlass Blue, for instance. This update includes a full AI ship rebalance of difficulties. Ships have been divided into difficulty brands, which have been mainly derived from large data sets based off of PvP and analytics. Finally, we've also made new ship difficulty band of very hard, which is reflective of the very hard / bounty assassination missions. I didn't realize they did that. It's gonna be interesting with the new AI PvP or the new AI systems for ships, which they're being ported over from Squadron. Vaulting and mantling. Oh, this was this was the fucking the GOAT update for this one. Implementation updated vaulting and mantling improvements that make the process much more smooth and intuitive for players. This update allows players to be able to grab ledges while running and jumping, low/high vault while running in and or in midair, and allows for high mantle when running in or in midair. That was one of those things they showed off at CitizenCon in 2022. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, you know, nothing from CitizenCon 2022 made it. I'm like, that was the big one that I was looking for, the parkour citizen. Which, yeah, it looks great. It works great. Server crash recovery quality of life update. Server crash recovery has been updated for PES to now remember the last location of the ship hailed and for landing and landed / docked at. This will allow players who hit a server crash to have their ship spawn back at the last hailed location instead of their chosen home location, where the landing area may not be equipped to handle their ships, such as the fully extended Whole Sea. I don't remember that one happening. That's cool, though. Oh, yeah, the timer now for the anti-combat logging. A lot of CIG positions just opened up. I'll have to take a look at that. Along with 3.20, we've added new combat logging mechanic to avoid as much of this as possible, this issue as possible. With the updated mechanic where a player is in combat and outside a green zone, the player and the ship will remain in the PTU for a short period after exiting the game fully to the menu. This also comes with a warning while exiting to the menu to make sure that you are a safe area before leaving, as it will leave your ship and character vulnerable to the location if they leave the server. Is that still there? Or did they change that? Why wouldn't CIG try building roads into the landing zones as an alternate means of getting around the LZ? It would give a mild sense of purpose to some ground vehicles, because it's a lot of work for not a lot of reward. Roads need to have gameplay associated with them beyond just having ground vehicles, and there's really nothing to go to until CIG does the procedural building interior update. And when they do that, there'll be a lot more reason to have ground vehicle like roads, but you need to have that first. You know, that needs to come in first before CIG can start investing in roads. Combat timer is still in? Awesome. I don't remember seeing the alert though before. I've dropped out in the middle of like nowhere space and before just because time ran out. But I didn't like streaming. But I never got an alert like, hey, you're gonna be, you're gonna be here for a while. Notifications and communication settings. We have added multiple new options to help control what notifications and comms you receive from other players. This includes blocking comms calls from non-friends, as well as block friend requests, notifications from friend requests, party invites, and AUEC transfers. Ship quantum HUD alignment. We have done a full pass on all ships to make sure the quantum HUDs have been properly aligned in view. Along with this, much of the quantum UI has been removed to be much cleaner and removed unnecessary elements until a full future quantum HUD update. It feels almost pointless because of what they're doing with quantum, but yeah. Argo Mole pilot improvement. Added the ability for the pilot and the Argo Mole to use the ship mining scanners. This will allow not only allow the pilots to use lasers from the seat, but will give the pilot much needed information directly while scanning minables. Didn't know that happened. MFD persistence. Custom vehicle MFD selection should now persist as long as you keep your vehicle intact. Players should only have to set MFD selection once per vehicle, but losing insurance claiming it will create a new vehicle, thus losing the saved custom MFD. Yeah, that makes sense. Mobiglass background and darkness occlusion. Visual updates to help the Mobiglass become more readable in bright backgrounds. Vehicle ship HUD and other UI selective is now hidden while opening the Mobiglass in a pilot seat. Mining stability in Polish. Enhanced lifetime of rock coolers to help adjust them overheating while in use and breaking down too quick. Ships and vehicles greatly increase the internal storage of the Drake Corsair. Core Tech, key binding updates for 3.20. Updated EAC's SDK, made server performance improvements, made further planetary performance optimizations, and made further engine rendering performance updates.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Logan Plays just resubscribed for 49 months. Keep on
Hey,
being
buddy.
awesome. Also, I had so many disconnects from Twitch today. You had any issues?
I haven't, no, thankfully. Thank you so much for that 49 months of support there, Logan. By the way, we're still good for Friday, right? You are a very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Of course, I still have the helmet Blackhawk. Well, this is the third version of it, but, still have my other two versions, too. Awesome. I plan on doing a little bit of Luminalia gift-giving missions before we do the Rogue Trader stuff, so I'll be streaming a little earlier than usual. All right, we're going over all of the patch notes stuff like that, though. All right. Arena Commander patch notes. Below, you'll find details during Stage 1 of Revitalization of Arena Commander. This is an important stage of this plan to set Arena Commander set up for success. Though it does deliver a lot of content, it unlocks even more. And we're excited to unlock Arena Commander's potential and bring in new heights with each patch. Hope you enjoy everything it delivers. If you'd like to share your thoughts over, head to Spectrum with the feedback forums. All right, so I will say, for those of you who haven't, play Gunrush. Gunrush is fantastic. It's an amazing experience. There's new team battle that they've done, which gives you bonus rec. There's new master modes with new ships you can test with it. There's lots of cool stuff for it in general. I figured around the same times we did last time, 6 p.m. Eastern sort of thing. Unified front-end lobby system. Electronic access, Arena Commander and Star Marine have merged into a single Arena Commander front-end menu. Was that 3.20? I thought that was in 3. 3.18. Oh, that's interesting. This new front end, powered by building blocks, unifies the various simulation module brands and menus into a single, easy-to-use interface. Including in this significant refactor is a complete rewrite of Arena Commander's lobby system, allowing you to squad up with people directly from your friends or party list with new squad limits per game mode, which can be seen from the new the game section tiles. Refactor sees single player, multiplayer, and private renamed to offline, online, and custom respectively, though custom doesn't work. Experimental mode, gun rush, tank royale, team tank battle, single weapon elimination, mirror match, and in master modes, free flight, duel, and endless Vandal Swarm. Experimental modes, master modes detailed. Flight model changes. Added tricording and altitude limiters. Axis combination of tricording and combined pitch and yaw movement will not yield higher acceleration or rotations rates anymore. Highest accelerations are now forward. Best rotation access is defined per ship and only applies to ships using the master mode tests. Gladius agility was increased. Boost regen was adjusted. Master modes added between nav and SCM. SCM allows high capacitor regen rates, shields, and weapons, but restricts max speed. Thruster boost / afterburner will temporarily allow you to extend beyond SCM boundary. Nav now allows high speed, but no shields and weapons. It also heavily restricts regen rates. Swapping between master modes is not immediate. Shield face health is stored in a buffer up to a certain ratio when going from SCM to nav. When going from nav to SCM, that buffer will quickly push back into faces. Shield face generation from that buffer cannot be interrupted from oncoming fire. Gunnery changes. New aiming system is enabled. Combined fixed assist was removed. Fixed assist per gun was added. Auto gimbal mode. Instead of keeping your target with an 8-degree cone, you will only need to keep your target roughly around your aim point, and your gimbals will track. When auto gimbals are not tracking, they will track like manual gimbals. Fixed mode. There is one pip projectile speed per group. You will see one pip for the KLWEs and one for the GATSs. Manual gimbal mode is now also fixed assist for each gun. Added options show precision lines. Added options show auto gimbal display. New target bracket, drastically increased ballistic ammo. Removed N1 system, a size 3 gimbal will now hold N-1 system. A size 3 gimbal will now hold a size 3 gun with penalty. Custom weapon stats for the Gladius weaponry. Shield layout for the used Gladius is now front and back. Targeting changes. Added bindings to allow settings to default convergence distance from input axis. However, there's no UI for this yet. Added bindings to suppress aim assists if the button is held. Use it if you feel the aim assist works for you. Spawning and loadout module refactor. A rewrite of Arena Mancator's spawning and loadout modules has the legacy code updated to modern standards, utilizing precision entity streaming, new entitlement service, and a new spawn screen being introduced to most game modes, allowing players to select their vehicle from within the game. This is the first part of the series of updates to how spawning and loadouts are handled in Arena Commander, laying the foundation for exciting new additions like in-game loadout customization, multi-crew, and spawn locations. Still gotta do the multi-crew. There is multi-crew in 3.22, so. We have removed the ability to customize your undersuit and team-based game modes. Will now override your armor. Armor and med pens are no longer manually equipped. Instead, players are restocked and respawn. These changes allow us to streamline loadout customization experience while continuing to work towards the refactored UI/UX. New Horizons Speedway revamp. One of the Star Citizen's oldest locations sees an update to a real full planet, Green, the third planet of the Elo system, including full atmosphere and refined track layout. These new tracks bring a new challenge to Arena Commander's classic race game mode. In addition, the 3 revamped maps, Old Vanderval, Rickard Memorial Raceway, and Defford Link. A 4th addition to the New Horizons Speedway collection, Halloran Circuit, introduces unique challenges with difficulty rivaling Defford Link, the hardest of all the tracks. Pirate Swarm, Final Wave Capital Battle. Pirate Swarm turns its final wave up to 11 with action-filled fleet battle against Pirate Idris and its escort fleet. You don't have to fight for this fearsome fleet alone. The UAE has a trick up its sleeve if you survive. Spoiler, the pirate fleet consisting of 8 pirate gladiators, 4 pirate cutlass black elites, 2 pirate hammerheads, and its flagship, and Idris, warp in. The UAE send 2 F-8 Lightning to inform you that help is on the way. Just hold out long enough for you to survive. The UAE fleet consisting of 8 additional F-8 Lightnings arrive closely, followed by a UAE Javelin destroyer. Successfully complete the mode to earn the 2953 Pirate Aggressor Spectrum Badge and unlocking the Pirate Gladius and Pirate Caterpillar pledges. Maps, adjustments. Nearly all the maps have received VFX and time of day lighting pass, increasing the overall visual quality. All new maps for 3.20 Arena Commander. Game modes, Classic Race, Security Point Korea, INS Jericho, and Winner's Circle. Elimination, Echo 11. Classic Race, Euterpe, Icebreaker, Snake Pit, Yetter Valley, Miner's Lament, New Horizons Speedway, Halloran Circuit. Those were all added to the Classic Race, yeah. New rewards, 253 Pirate Aggressor, complete Pirate Swarm, unlocking its grants. Okay, Vandal Aggressor, Master at Arms, win a match of Gun Rush, Tank Commander, win a max of any game mode. 999 Test Squadron, play every Alpha 3.20 experimental mode to complete at least once. Game mode adjustments, Duel. Okay, I'm not gonna go through all of this because a lot of this stuff is it's like these are just kind of like adjustments and systems and kind of like bug fixes. Bug fixes, modes. Ooh, Jesus, look at that. Look at that. System, fixed issues, yeah. Okay, so this was October 19th, so a couple weeks before before CitizenCon, because CitizenCon was like the 21st, I want to say. A couple days. Astro, you got to help me convince Loken to take time to watch Babylon 5. I just restarted rewatching the series. Watch Babylon 5. Do it this way. Loken, and anybody else. Do you like Lord of the Rings? Do you enjoy Mass Effect? Do you want to see a Mass Effect, Lord of the Rings-esque story set in a science fiction background with real-life politics a la Game of Thrones? Do you want to see the progenitor of all serialized fiction on television? Then watch Babylon 5. Season 1 through 4, I think is the one. Whichever. There's actually a last season of Babylon 5. Don't watch it. It's not that good. Because the actual creator didn't plan on ending it. Well, planned on ending it when they did, and they got a last-minute extension, so. If you want to see the source material for Mass Effect, Babylon 5 is it. Yeah, it's Babylon. It's the closest thing we're going to get in the near future to a Mass Effect TV series. Yeah, if you want to watch the source material for Mass Effect, Babylon 5 is it. Like, beat for beat, they took and made it a game. Yeah. They don't really have Spectres like they do in, well, I guess they do. They have the Rangers, which are kind of the same thing. But bespoke assets are the ones they can't procedurally generate and then hand finish, which means that they have to hand build it for taking longer, tying up devs for longer. Yeah. We're not going to see Soul for a while. The studio got closed. Well, they had to combine the last 2 seasons into 2 half seasons for one season. Because the originally idea was they're going to have the Earth Saga be one season, and then the Shadow War was another season. But they didn't know if they were going to get another season. They weren't going to be able to get a confirmation for another season, so they kind of crushed the 2 seasons together into one season. So half the season is dedicated to the Earth situation, and the other half is dedicated to the Shadow War. So as a result, it feels really rushed towards the end of that season, but then they got another season after that, and it was just like, but we weren't supposed to. So listen, Macton, I loved Legend of the Rangers, and Crusade was pretty fun, but Legend of the Rangers should have gotten a series. Yeah, it's not an animated series. It's like an OVA, but it's a good animated movie. It definitely plays with that sort of story. So, was it Excalibur? I thought it was Crusade. Babylon 5 Crusade. They're fantastic. The problem with Babylon 5 today is it was the first of its era. All of the space series like Star Trek were still using models for their shots, and Babylon 5 said, fuck that, we're going entirely CG. But instead of using CG that we would see to even in today or in movies, they didn't have the budget for it. So they did everything effectively on early CG graphics technology. They just used regular computers instead of specialized computers. So the graphics are dated for sure. But it gets better. Every season, the graphics improve overall. Better shaders and everything else like that. But if you just took the Babylon 5 story and you added modern graphics to it, give it something like The Expanse got, fuck, that would be insanity. Land vehicles have always had a semblance of use. It's ease of access that's been terrible. That and U-Lot are used to running missions without them. Set in your ways, if I may. There's no reason for me to use a vehicle, though. I can use a spaceborne, an airborne vehicle, and get the same effect. There is literally no reason for me to pull out a ground vehicle for a mission. Yeah. No TV shows had good CG budgets in the 90s. Yeah. At the time, the CGI of Babylon 5 was mind-blowing. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily like people thought it was realistic, but the idea that it was all done on home computers was insanity. The fact that they were able to do what they did with the budget they had was nuts. Don't tempt the studios ruining another franchise. I'm just saying an HD overhaul of the series with modern technology. But JMS is trying to reboot the series as a new series, kind of like how what was it? Battlestar Galactica. He's basically trying to Battlestar Galactica it, because JMS is John Michael Straczynski is the person who created Babylon 5 and is planning on bringing Babylon 5 back with the knowledge that they've learned from working in the TV and film industry for a long time. So that's the only problem, is that it's under Warner Brothers, because it was made under Warner Brothers, so they may actually get canceled. For example, if you go to a bunker mission, why land your ship close to the bunker in the first place? Because you could get access to it. PvP pilots would make a meal out of it every single time. PvP pilots would make a meal out of your ship no matter where it is. There's no reason to hide your ship and drive it in. That's just wasting time. And the more time your ship is out and exposed, the easier it is for it to be found. What you're talking about is paranoia there, Badude Josh. Badude. It's not gameplay, that's just paranoia. There's no actual advantage to using ground vehicles. Because you can land closer to the bunker, which means you have less time in the bunker and less time to get in and out. There's less time of that. I'm all about Synth World. I will not rest until Synth World is real. Well, the thing is that JMS is actually having trouble with Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers doesn't see the value in it because of the cost it's going to cost them. And so he's been trying to fight to get them to actually greenlight it after they've already promised to greenlight it. So, but he's already in the process of writing the new scripts, so it may be several years before it actually comes out because he's got to write the script, he's got to get a team together, find producers, find directors, and like that whole process of getting everything started before it can even get fully like greenlit by Warner Brothers. All right, so 3.21, again, we're talking about October 19th. No issues. All right. It always comes down to money. I mean, that's the sad part about how we live. All right, locations. New jump point rest stop stations and Lagrange points. The addition of 3 additional rest stops in Stanton that act as a final stop before entering jump points. Each location is set up similarly to the other Lagrange points and consists of parent gas cloud, a smaller gas cloud, child gas cloud, a gateway rest stop, and structures leading to the jump point itself. It is important to note that jump points are currently non-functional in 3.21, as Stanton is the only system available at the time. The 3 new stations with the jump points that leave the Stanton system are Pyro Gateway, Magnus Gateway, and Terra Gateway. One reason to park 2 kilometers out, AA turrets. You can find terrain which you can park behind, which will block the turrets. That it's closer than 2 kilometers out, and you can also destroy the turrets if you have a good enough ship. It's just like, again, why buy a ship when I can buy a better equipment for my ship? Why buy a ground vehicle when I can buy better equipment for my ship that shouldn't do that? Like, it's not, there's no reason to. All right, gameplay. New legal/illegal mission, retrieve consignment. This mission mission type, players will be challenged to go to the underground facilities, UGFs, and kill/search data pads that contain consignments depending on the mission variant. Consignment will have a code on top of the dispenser, which will cause the items listed in this manifest to come out of the dispenser one by one. These items can be taken and sold at commodity kiosks around the game for AUEC. This is, however, optional, and players only need to retrieve those items from the dispenser to make a way for the mission-critical items, if they so please. This mission will take exclusively in security UGFs, are shareable, and will require drop-offs at least 1 box of classified files to complete the mission. Illegal version of this mission's offered by Rudo, and legal versions of this missions offered by various security organizations of Stanton. Legal versions of the mission, player will find corpse of a dead security at the facility on arrival. Those corpses will be the data pads, and the player will have to deal with Ninetales defending the location they have overrun. The illegal version of this will be no corpses, just security location, which will drop the data pads, and loot will be as loot will be killed. This mission also introduces new mission mode called Anti-Up Wave Spawner. This module will cause AI to continuously spawn in waves at the location. These waves get progressively harder based on the triggers. The triggers for this mission are the codes being successfully entered into the dispenser, and every 5 minutes the player is at a location on a looping timer. On this mission, the waves will start to spawn once the first boss is killed. New illegal mission, Correa Steal Evidence. This new Steal Evidence mission is offered by Twitch. Players are asked in stealing the next evidence item, which spawns from the Correa contraband dispenser. To obtain this mission, players must talk to Twitch in person after completing her intro mission and having climbing in reputation. Only 1 instance can be active on the server at any time. The first objective simply states to retrieve evidence, which will place a marker on the evidence dispenser. The mission description in the mobiGlass has a brief explanation of how to get the access code for the dispenser. When a box of evidence is spawned, the marker moves from the dispenser to the evidence. Objective stays the same. Once the box of evidence has been grabbed by a mission player, the delivery's destination is marked. If the box of evidence is taken away by a non-mission player, the marker will stay on it to allow recovery of the box mission by the players. Ship, vehicles, and ships. New added flyable ship, Crusaders Industries A1 Spirit. Gameplay. Repel raid on Orison with new Crusader platforms. With 3.21, we are bringing back the Repel Raid on Orison missions, originally called Phantom Assault Assault on Orison, or Platform Assault on Orison. These platforms, so they do exist, but they're now on the new, so they don't exist in Crusader anymore. They're like on Orison. They're now on the individual platforms. Okay. These FPS combat missions around Orison will now utilize newly updated platform clusters that have been placed around Crusader. Reintroduction of Bounty, Assassinate, Clear All. Hey, the prisoner.
Biddies.
Thank you for them biddies. Reintroduction of Bounty, Assassinate, Clear All, and other missions. These FPS combat missions around Orison will now utilize new added platform clusters, which placed around provide opportunities for more concurrent missions for more unique locations. These missions include eliminate all missions similar to the current UGF missions. For these islands, the players will be tasked with killing everyone in a given building. These mercenary missions available from Crusader Industries will have 3 difficulty curves, ranging from easy clear of 1 building to a harder clear of 3 buildings. Similar to eliminate all missions, eliminate specific missions will task the player with killing a single or multiple bosses based on difficulty. This is literally just a reiteration of that, what we saw earlier. Added support for players to sell things honest.
It's been fun, Paul, but I got to get to bed. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you so much,
See you
Devakin.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, buddy. Hey, Hennypin. Added support for players to sell own things by members of the party without being considered stolen. All right, cool. Ships and vehicle. Ground vehicle physics update. Made further ground vehicle handling improvements to Nova tanks and all-wheeled vehicles. Made throttle control easier and made suspension tweaks. Driver mode, turret quality of blah, blah. Zooms. This is for the tank battle stuff. Bug fixes. Winner's Circle. Due to issues with flight, AI, and atmosphere, particularly with UE Javelin not being atmosphere suitable, we have disabled Winner's Circle for Pirate Swarm. Winner's Circle, the playable area has increased to 10k altitude, was 6 km. Game mode adjustments, Gun Rush, special event. So you get Gun Rush and the Swarm Master modes, Pirate Swarm, system balance. They remove the F8C from the allowed vehicles from Battle Royale. Then bug fixes and technical. So yeah, there wasn't that much. 3.21 was supposed to be 3.20.1. That's why, but it got its name because they were originally supposed to. It was originally supposed to have the replication layer separation as part of it. All right, November 16th, almost exactly a month afterwards. So to chart this, we had 3.18 release in March. Then a month later, we had 3.18. It was a month later, we got 3.18.1. Then a month after that, or no, 2 weeks after that, we got 3.18.2. And then in May, so like a month after that, we got 3.19. And then in June, a month after that, we got 3.19.1. Then we didn't see an update until September. But then September like 18th, October 18th, 19th, and November 16th, 1 month each drop for the Alpha 3.20, Alpha 3.21, and Alpha 3.21.1. So, mini siege origins. Thank you for all them biddies there, Dovahkiin. And G-Sharp. All right. Alpha 3.21.1. Known issues. Gameplay. System security, ship trespass. Okay, that was just basically you can shoot people if they go on your ship.
Them biddies.
Merry
Thank you,
Xmas,
Shinobi.
everyone.
Thank you for them biddies there, Snopey. Mission defend data heist. Okay, so this one was pretty easy. And then the data heist I'll read. Implementing unlawful missions that task the player with infiltrating locations defended by hostile NPCs to hack terminals. Players with the mission will be sent to a location to help recover/steal data from servers at that location. They will need to access the main terminal via hacking or technician's ID chip found in the location, and give access via interaction screen to their mission handler, who will initiate download. During the download, they will defend the terminal and servers, the latter of which can be destroyed or overheated. Once enough data has been uploaded, they will be able to leave the area completing the mission. They will, if they fail too many times, fail too many servers have been destroyed, or not enough data has been uploaded. Ships and vehicles: Argo SRV, Crusader C1 Spirit, and the Tumbril Storm. All right, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, y'all. I will go to hear those so you can hear things.
Weapons free, y'all. Barcelona! Barcelona! Good news, everyone!
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
Everybody in his
I'm just
dog
an
calls himself
old-fashioned
an
cowboy.
Oh,
Hello.
Very quick.
Money.
2 words. Distress.
Drugs.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I don't know if it's still an issue, but I used to be
It was
AA
at this
turrets
moment
streamed
that
out
he knew.
after the train.
He fucked
They're
up.
just long enough to delay you to allow the turrets to destroy your ship. And I'm back. Very quick. Waiting for everyone to hit that.
Barcelona! Barcelona!
All right. So let's get back to this. Enough chat. Enough. Okay, AI behavior update. With 3.21.1, we integrated much of the FPS AI behavior from Squadron 42. These updates have been polished, and worked on outside of starcitizen release builds until now. Will vastly improve overall difficulty, reaction times, animations, behaviors, and other traits to make combat with them much more dangerous but rewarding experience. Gameplay: tractor beam T2, vehicle tractor beam. Going through it, I don't think we need to go too much. Basically allows for the tractor beam to start work with vehicle, to be able to specifically move the Argo SRV. Temporary towing halt missions, towing halt for mission spawn ships. Wake of disaster. Due to the intention of making this PvP experience, we have not enabled towing on these ships, these mission ships, while we update the design of the mission to keep the experience what we want to not break systematic sandbox activity. Cover up illegal salvage, new player experience, new babbage. Yeah, they did that because it was IAE. So, ground radar sensitivity edition. They introduced ground radar sensitivity so different radars can see ground vehicles from different ranges. This includes full balance pass on ground vehicles and missions that allows the ability for ground vehicles to use missile operator mode to lock on other ground targets. Allows you to do some rocket artillery stuff. AI ship cargo manifests balance changes, rebalancing the cargo amounts and types that spawn inside derelict and AI ships in the PU using a new distribution algorithm. Ground radar adjustments. Increased the ground vehicle. Increased the ground vehicle emissions and reduced the ground sensitivity on all ship radars, so the overall distance is unaffected for ships, but will allow ground vehicles to see each other from further away. UGF leverage, cover, and navigation improvements. Polish pass. Okay. Ships and vehicles. Vehicle headlight refactor. Star Citizen. Oh fuck! I don't think they've fully done this. Star Citizen lighting teams that carry out a headlight rework for every single vehicle in the PU. This has been done to create a more consistent look and functionality across each manufacturer. The headlight intensity, radius, distance cast, and color will be based on the vehicle's size and manufacturer. This means each vehicle will have fall into one of 6 categories ranging from size 1 with 500 meters of headlight distance to size 6 with 3,000 meters of headlight cast distance. Partial ship mass balance. Tumbril, Nova, Corsair, Vanguard, Caterpillar, Mole, Raft, and Star Runners have all had balance pass on their actual masses in the universe. This update will make some slight changes The velocities and handling of the ships listed. Temporal Nova movement tweaks. Adjusted minimum and maximum track friction for steering stiffness. Increased Crusader's Spirit wing base joint health. Core tech. Made several client improvements. Put multiple physics changes to help prevent players' corpses from falling through planet surfaces when falling at speed. Made several performance compensations for ship debris. Siege of Orison reactivation. So yeah, they reactivated, did some changes for that. I'm not going to go through all of those because it's just not that much. Duel and Battle Royale remain exclusive to light and medium combat ships for Arena Commander. Ship additions to game modes. They added the Avenger Titan, Titan Renegade, Drake Buccaneer, Sperry Glaive, and Sperry Sight for all game modes. A full ton of new ships, scoring balance. These are just kind of like small additions. They don't really have anything new quite yet. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of stuff that was new. And then we have Alpha 3.22 at December 14th, almost a month. If you've noticed, March, April, May, June, all on around like a month apart from each other. Then nothing until September, and then September, October, November, December. And I guarantee you, we'll go back to that nothing until March thing over the years. But could be wrong. We could add some new stuff here. We could see some new stuff in the new year, but I would caution that. So there's sizes for lights. Yes, now there are. Additional 15 new derelict settlements, both mission, gameplay, social elements, and shops, which are really cool. Me and Space Tomato explored them a little bit earlier today. These new inhabited settlements are spread throughout the wilderness of Hurston and Microtech using the Rastar tool with larger, expanded library of new and existing assets. Some locations are accessible via the star map, while other settlements are more discreet and appear behind missions. All NPCs at these locations are neutral, making up a population of independent civilians and members of the Dusters faction, and have been updated with their new hair tech and face faction clothing. So the Hurston locations: Zephyr, Maker's Point, Ludlow, Picker's Field, Finley's Folly, Weeping Cove, Cutter's Rig, and Rappel. Zephyr, Maker's Point, Picker's Field, Weeping Cove, and Rappel are all visible on the map, but the other ones aren't. New Frostbite, I don't think is there. Razor's Edge, I don't see. Bloodshot Ridge, Harper's Point, Astor's Clearing, Dunborough, and Morrow Hills. I think it's Harper's Point, Astor's Clearing, and Dunborough is the ones that I saw. All right, Structural, Salvage Structural. Implementing the ability to transform large chunks of metal salvaged from ships into a refinable material. Structural salvage is the next step in the salvage profession. Initially, it will bring additional functionality to the two salvage ships, the Drake Vulture and Aegis Reclaimer. It will allow players to convert full ships into resources, RMC, and construction components that can be sold or used to craft multiple items using the filler system. It will also bring an update to the way material is stored in the salvage ships. It will introduce the concept of internal storage, which is a buffer in a ship that will fill. The buffer storage size will depend on the size of the salvage ship, with the Reclaimer getting a 240 SCU buffer, while the Vulture receives a 13 SCU buffer. Once full, the buffer storage needs to be emptied using the filler station. For Reclaimer owners, the salvage mode is only operable for co-pilot seat. The Reclaimer salvage terminal can now export size 1, 2, 8, and 16 SCU cargo containers. Salvage functionality is now split into multiple segments after entering salvage mode. Default keyboard M. Hole scraping. The current salvage system to remove the holes from ships. If the hole is not scraped off, the material is lost in the process when moving to steps 2 and 3. Fracturing mode. This mode will break up and inject ships into smaller pieces. And disintegration. This will degenerate the resource from broken down ship pieces. To start fracturing mode on the ship, point the ship you want to fracture and enter fracturing mode. Once fracture mode has been started, the ship will then break apart in a certain period based off the size of the ship. To start disintegration mode, point the newly fragmented ships, point to the ships and engage disintegration mode to break apart chunks and collect them to salvage buffer storage for your ship. Fracture disintegration field as salvage speed is linearly proportional to the base and position and distance. Once the salvage material fills the buffer storage, it will have a filler station in a commodity box that will move the ship's cargo bay. I think in the future we'll probably see that elaborated upon, similar to mining. So you'll have some sort of resonance field you need to calibrate to be able to make sure it's resonating at the right point to be able to break apart the ships. There'll probably be some swing back and forth that you kind of need to kind of modulate to get to the right point. And of course, do that for the big and then the smaller chunks and so on and so forth. Yep, they will finish shit and not release it just because they want to build hype for CitizenCon. They have in the past, at least. This is the future's not written. The past is all we have to go on. Yeah. Yep. Inventory openable cargo containers. 3.22 adds openable cargo containers, allowing players to store commodities in these new 1, 2, 4, and 8 cargo SU containers, which can be purchased and sold through shops and dropped from your location inventory into your ship's cargo grid. These new cargo containers allow contents to be sold individually, as well as the containers themselves, in which case any unsold contents will be sent to the inventory the containers is being held in. This also includes work for tractor beams that will make it so that cargo is locked to cargo grids when the ship is locked by the door integrity. Meaning, as long as the integrity is sufficient, cargo cannot be removed from cargo grids except by the owner or party members. It is considered a law infraction if stolen off a cargo grid in a monitored zone. Ships and vehicles added to the Santok Yai, the Origin X1, X1 Velocity, and X1 Force. They didn't see the Cutter Rambler here. That's interesting. Player hair update. Updating the starcitizen character customizer with 20 hairstyles from Squadron 42 using our latest hair tech. This includes the addition of new, longer hairstyle along with updates and changes to existing short hairstyles. So yeah, all of the hair is now updated, which is nice. Updated microtech locations with denser forests. Increased Crusader planet comm array range to encompass all points of the planet. Gameplay. Procedural weapon recoil and FPS combat balance. Did this make it in? Introduction of procedural weapon aim recoil to FPS combat. With this update, we have overhauled the recoil of the majority of the weapons that use new and improved procedural recoil shown at CitizenCon. This will improve the diversity of the weapon sandbox, allowing for each weapon to fulfill a more specific niche role, also allowing more diversity of a more intense visual recoil. Wait. They added the LH-86 as a fully automatic? It's actually fully automatic in game now? Oh, Jesus. I'm looking through some of these things. I didn't know that these things existed. Along with weapon balance changes, adjusted player health damages, and medical increases time to kill. That's definitely true. Tractor towing upgrades made several UI positional changes to help increase readability. Several updates include deflection flipped in SRV cockpit, range bar ease factor, target name above status, force bar fixes, including centering force, throttle gimbal widgets, hidden in turrets, allowing towing UI scale up, turret orientation feedback, more marked, radar plane more perspective, range bar, readability improvements. Ship mining balance pass, adjustment for scaling of ship mineable nodes to adjust to trend slightly closer to prospector difficulties. Added new vehicles to PU shops, Mirai Furies and Miss Hull C. Notice the Hull C came in 319. No, 320. So that's pretty new, yeah. Armor shop prices have all been increased across the board, excluding flight suits and undersuits. Shield components have been removed from most bikes. Ground vehicles are now considered ground vehicles when spawning at ASOP terminals. Adjusted spring stiffness on hover bikes. Weapons and items. Updated Brering FS9 ballistic LMG to an ammo count of 75. Updated R97 shotgun to an ammo of 18. Reduced damage of the speed of Kesar ballistic sniper rifle projectile. And reduced LH-86 pistol damage. Vortec front-end style update. Updated menu title, text, colors, and logos. Updated button styles and button state changes. Idle, cover, over, downs, disabled. Added messaging and UI info, friends, party notification lists. Updated secondary typed size, example, primary residence and current location tiles. Updated front-end tooltips explaining why a server can't be changed to include crash recovery, as well as combat logging. AI on-foot performance optimizations. I think that's it. Multi-crew. Okay, we've got some more here as well. Multi-crew spawn locations. Multi-crew finally comes to Arena Commander. Experience multi-crew gameplay in squadron battle, team tank battle, free flight, and swarm modes. Spawn as a turret or crew and battle it out with your opponents. Do not forget that you can customize your FPS loadout from a front end and equip gear to play scenarios to board enemy ships. In-game vehicle selection. Gone are the days of forgetting to pick your vehicle before the game starts, locked you into a fierce battle of cat and mouse. In-game vehicle selection now allows you to pick the vehicle you want to use in-game, switch between respawns and dogfight modes. This includes a new slot system, which allows you to switch to customize between 4 vehicle slots. Endless Vandal Swarm. Original systems. Okay, so that was fully added. Master Endless Vandal Swarm experimental modes playtest. We're pleased to announce that after overwhelmingly positive and constructive feedback, the core Vandal Swarm mode is being replaced with Endless Vandal Swarm. All right, nice. And some experimental modes. Got Gun Rush, Kill Collector. I didn't see that one. Team Elimination, which is one that's pretty good. Duo Showdown, Tank Royale, Team Tank Battle, Single Weapon Elimination. And then Squadron Mode, yeah. New maps, Bloodshot Ridge, all game modes. Maker's Point, all FPS modes, and Pyro Jump Point Master Modes Classic Race. Ooh. System and balance. Achievements. A lot of stuff here. So, effectively, what's important to note, I think, is a lot of the major gameplay changes, like a lot of balance and changes and updates to core gameplay mechanics, came in at the end of the year. Now, we did get new salvage modes and stuff like that, and the first salvage came in 3.18, but that's like a new, like, content, as it were, rather than quality of life. And a lot of the stuff we get added in for this patch and later patches have been quality of life. They added like new missions, updated some stuff here and there. So yeah, overall, I would say from September on through December, we had a good year. But I can't deny that January through August was garbage. Problem is that August is the 8th month of the year, y'all. And that means that we had 8 months out of 12, which were hot garbage. So we have 4 out of 8 months. So only a third of the year really was 4 out of 12 months. My brain not working properly. Basically a third of the year, which was playable. 2/3 of the year, it was unplayable. So by volume alone, this wasn't a good year. However, because they're ending the year strong, that does kind of factor in a little bit more, I think. Because as long as you're, as long as it's ending and moving into a better position in 2024 than it is in 2023, I think that's a good one. So I don't always use math. When I do, I use a calculator. The fidelity on that garbage was off the charts. I mean, there was some cool additions to the game in the early parts. It's just a lot of it wasn't playable. I wouldn't say the F8 saved the year. I think the F8 saved the year financially. And it definitely got more people into it. I think CitizenCon really set the tone for the rest of the year, though. Open for scanning to see whether they have a sort of adjustment frequency and filter. So I have a theory that we're going to see scanning next year as well as bounty hunting, but it's going to be in the same situation that we were in with salvage earlier in the year, where it's going to be kind of like sort of there, an early implementation. So the F8 definitely helped. those of you who are wondering, I'll pull up the CCU game. So they have made $114 million this year, surpassing forgot you can't do that. There we go. So in December 2022, they made $8 million, which was actually down from the previous year. It was $9 million. This year they only made $5 million, but they made $28 million in November and only $23 million. So they made a lot more money in November this year than last year. And in October, they made $15 million, as the year before that they made $8 million. And October was when they did the F8C. So yeah, it's a huge change. It's almost double. What side is this? This is called the CCU game. It tracks all of this sort of stuff. You can also go into the sale view. So like IAE anniversary. See the different sales here. October was Zeus 2. Yeah, they also had the Zeus, which was a big one. But I think the F8 alone brought them over 8 million. Like they got like 10 million from the 8 or 9 million just from the F8C, and then the Zeus kicked them over the little edge. So IAE, whatever. Yeah, a lot of people thought they were going to do the F7C Mark II because of those database leaks, which is interesting. All right. Though I do want to hear y'all's thoughts. What do you think? Was this a good or bad year? Best year? Everyone's okay. I have a snack. Bad year with a happy ending. 8 months of shit, not a good year. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I think it was good, although it didn't start playing Star Citizen until October. Got me to spend money, so good year. I feel like the PES left them way off of what they could have accomplished this year otherwise. Rough start with 318, comeback was great. Good year. I had a good year. I didn't have issues with 318 like others did. Decent year by the end, made better, like you said, by CitizenCon and the announcements. Rough start of the year, though. Not gonna lie, it was looking good. It was not looking good in the first half. Okay. They failed to capitalize on Squadron 42 so bad. Yeah, we didn't even bring up the fact that they removed Squadron 42 from the purchasable. It's like a purchasable account, and they haven't. It just disappeared, and there's been no update to it whatsoever. Which sounds like honestly, if I'm gonna be quite like frank, it was a mistake. That was a like flagrant mistake on their part to A, gather goodwill, and B, make money. Good strides were made, tech strides. From May to CitizenCon was a desert. Now here's the thing. From May to CitizenCon will almost always be a desert. I don't think we're going to see it. Maybe if CIG is somehow able to buck the trend, which again, they haven't, maybe we'll see a June with 4.0 dropping. But look at me in my eyes. And you can clip this. I do not have faith that CIG will release it in September. I think 4.0 will come out in October of next year, and it will be a very limited release. We're talking basically what we got for the Pyro Playground plus all of the planets. We won't have the faction system. We won't have the anything that they really need to make the game well, to make that like function well. We'll have some bare bones basics assets added. We'll have the new quantum system. We'll have some of the new stuff they showed off at CitizenCon, but we won't have the other stuff that we really need to make the game, to make Pyro functionably good. And it'll also be a garbage heap. They shrunk it. They shrunk Pyro. Pyro went from being 13 AU to 9 AU. Still much bigger than Stanton, but now it's like 2 times the size rather than 3 times the size rather than 4 times the size. We only saw half the system, but they still shrunk the system to 9 AU. Yeah, it's not dropping in June. Yeah, Andrew's a friend of mine started to run Victus. He desperately wanted to buy Squadron on Squadron 2, and CIG dropped it like the day he was going to pay. Yeah. But they added all the Squadron 42 devs to start citizen development. Yeah, but even CIG is not being confident about their dates with that. That still takes integration time, and there's a lot of other factors that need to be in place. I do have some faith that CIG's project managers are incorporating that, which is the reason why they're being cheeky about dates. So, Pyro's lore changed. Yes and no. Fundamentally, Pyro is the same system that it's always been. What changed was the planet's makeup, and that has more to do with the fact that in 2016, when by 2016 when we actually got landable planets, Pyro was being written for it had been written for a game that did not have procedural landing. So they were making up landing zones which were in areas that you would never land on. It was just basically most of the planets in Star Citizen's universe are blasted rocks because of that. And that doesn't really work with what they wanted to do with gameplay. So that had to change, and they changed the star from being red to yellow. That's pretty much it. But the actual function for gameplay and the actual stories being told in the Pyro system have always been the same, which is it's a lawless zone with many gangs who are fighting for control of the system. It's been abandoned by the UEE. It's a lawless kind of like Mad Max Wild West situation. That's it. Like the change was the color of the star and some of the makeup of the planets. They made some of them like livable, and then they expanded upon it in terms of like actual lore. We actually didn't have a lot of information about who Pyrotech Amalgamated is, what they did in the system, other than they were trying to mine it, and it didn't work very well. We didn't have any information on any of the gangs. So what we got this year was more of a fleshing out of Pyro, which changed some stuff. So So Florida in 2026 then. What do you believe will be the next system? Nyx. They've already started working on Nyx. It's almost certainly going to be the next system because they already have the main landing zone of Nyx built, which is Levski on Delamar. So why not? It also has the next big hazardous kind of thing, which specifically ties into the thing that CIG has been developing, which is scanning. The thing that Nyx has, that no other system has, is that it's at the edge of a dark nebula, which means it is hard to see with scanners and scanning technology into Nyx, which is perfect if CIG wants to test scanning for their various scanning ships. And why is Pyro important? Because it was doing coronal mass ejections, those flares which add radiation, which was another thing they were testing from Squadron 42 that they wanted to bring into Star Citizen. You got to look at what CIG wants to develop and test. Bounty hunting is a big one, another thing, another reason for Pyro. So, yeah. Any lore on Nyx? Yes, it's at the edge of a dark nebula. So half of the system is clouded in difficult to kind of scan areas, and its main faction is known as the People's Alliance of Levski, the PAL, which is a very explicitly communist organization, who are founded by anti-Mezer rebels who want to overthrow the UEE, and they still want to overthrow the UEE. But they're seen as kind of wishy-washy by a lot of some of the rebels who are in there. Think of them as kind of cowardly, or like they don't have the backbone for it. So there are other splinter groups who are more extreme who also live in Levski or live in Nyx, because People's Alliance Levski, for instance, doesn't allow piracy in the system. They don't allow pirates or violent outlaws to make Nyx home. So, and they actively hunt those outlaws and try to push them out of the system, which, you know, has driven a wedge between several of the different revolutionary groups who will call Nyx home. Several of them say they have guns and they hate the UEE too. Why aren't we using them? And others are saying, that's we're dealing with murderers and sycophants and like psychopaths. They're here for the revolutionary cause. They're here for their own sick enjoyment, so. My take is Stanton is dialectic on corporatism, Pyro is libertarians, and Nyx is communism, Marxism. Yes, I would expect to have anarchists, Marxists, socialists, communists, every different flavor of left-wing ideals being really expressed in Nyx, because for those of you who study political science, there's a fuck ton of them. There's a lot of theories of thought on the left that come from Marxism, and it's a unique part of the Star Citizen universe, which is mostly very oh gosh, what's the term for it? Something liberalism is the term that's used often, which is kind of like the modern politics of the globe sort of thing. So it's very much a neoliberalism. Yeah, neoliberalism. Thank you. Like much of Star Citizen's universe is neoliberal, like, or corporate almost. And I have to say this. I want you to look at me, chat. You, dear viewer, Jerry, I know you're there. David. Okay? Stop. Your boss is okay. Your family's all right. They're not behind you. I want you to look at me, and I'm going to tell you this. Star Citizen is a dystopia. There are no good organizations in the Star Citizen universe. They're all shades of gray. So you will never have a morally good group in the Star Citizen universe. That's intentional, because they want you to pick a side, but they don't want you to, they do want you to be able to be criticized for making that decision. That is what the writing team wants to do. That's what the gameplay team wants to do, because they want to keep things interesting. So, are they 50 Shades of Grey? No, UEE is not the good guys. The UEE is, they try their best with what they have, but effectively the UEE is an apartheid government. Only a small portion of the UEE can actually vote and has most of the rights. Now, everyone in the UEE has some rights, but it's still very fascist. A lot of the organizations and the groups that were formed during the measures are still there. They're just less xenophobic. That's it. And if you saw the IAE, then you know xenophobia is still very, very prevalent all throughout the UEE. It's been almost 160 years since the last measure was overthrown. But xenothreat still exists. Xenophobia is rampant in lots of parts of the UEE. So, you know. So the UEE, they do their best. Like, there are definitely people inside the UEE who have good intentions and want to do the right thing. And, you know, you have things like the election of Suchkosi, the first Devaran senator from the Devaran homeworld, who's trying to integrate the Devaran. You've got people like the transitionalists who want to try to expand the rights for non-citizens. You have the current imperator who wants to try to increase good working relations with alien species, with alien groups, to try to break down old Cold War ideals with the Xi'an and try to expand and incorporate more Tevarin into the government. And there's lots of good ideas, and there are people who are doing the right thing. But the vast majority of the UEE is still a shithole. The average person in the UEE still never leaves their planet, and outside of the citizen class, it's a mixed bag of what you can even do. Anti-Tevarin, like ideals are all over the place. And if you want to go live, if you're Tevarin, you want to go live outside of the UEE, the Tevarin like enclaves outside the UEE are all shitholes. Like, they're all terrible because they're barely maintained. They're often filled with criminals as a means of survival. They need to ally themselves with criminals who don't always have their best interests in hearts. So, like, life sucks in the Star Citizen universe. Do you get the idea? And again, all of this is intentional because CIG does this for gameplay reasons. This means that there's going to be a call for civilians to help defend a system because the military is overstretched with Vanduul attacks. They can't deal with all the pirate incursions and all over the place. That corporations are going to be needing private mercenaries. Organizations that are political radicals will maybe hire hitmen to go take out their political rivals and other locations. You know, there's just a variety of things that players can do because the world sucks. The Mezzers are basically a hegemony, right? Yeah, well, we think of the Mezzers as dictators because the people in the charge of the government had the last name Mezzer and were related to Ivar Messer. One man or one dictator does not a government make. They need collaborators, governors, business leaders, military commanders who are following along and doing the duty, doing the work of the dictators. And the dictators need to keep those people happy. Thus, the problems with the cargo crisis, where once everyone was put up against the wall and shot for their allegiances to the Messers, a lot of people were gone. Like, you killed a bunch of people. Congratulations, you got some revenge and some justice, but now the entire economy went to shit because you either scared the crap out of the people who might have gotten put against the wall and shot, or you killed the people who made the economy run. So people don't have jobs or food. Which is one of the reasons why, like, while noble, a lot of like just barely pro-revolutionary groups were like organizations or corporations, people like August Dunlow, who basically just want to get revenge for his dad, and now runs and formed a company to influence the government, which we know as Crusader Industries. Like, not that good of a dude overall. He's got good intentions, but, you know. So, yeah, and I do applaud the CIG's writing team, because one of the things that when you study history, one of the things you realize pretty quickly is that most revolutions don't work. Violent revolutions rarely ever achieve the change they were seeking to in the first place, because usually a violent revolution is a coalition of dozens, if not hundreds, of smaller groups, all with opposing ideologies. And almost all revolutions usually end up in a civil war afterwards, because those groups then vie for power and try to take over the government after the fact. It happened in Russia, it happened in China, it happened in to a lesser degree in Cuba. It's happened in Syria. It's happened in lots of places. It's happened in Ukraine, which wasn't really a civil war, but it was, still, you have the influence of an outside power and stuff like that. Haiti, many times. Here. Meanwhile, peaceful resistance just leads to extermination, and it can. And that's the problem, is that, like, if you look at history, revolution is a complicated thing, and it becomes even more complicated because it often is hijacked by extremists who don't have the best goals in mind. So in the best case scenario, is usually the revolution ends up being more of a regime change, and a lot of the stuff that happened before that was icky is then removed, but pretty much everything else is the same. So you're not actually changing anything significant, you're just kind of changing the flag a little bit, or changing the person in charge. And at worst, you get the French Revolution, where you end up with fucking Napoleon in charge, and, like, Europe is on fucking fire for 30 years. So that's the problem when it comes to revolutions, is they generally don't ever achieve the goals they're looking for very legitimate reasons. And that's what happened with the anti-Messer revolution. Effectively, we're the same government. The UE is the same government as it was with the Messers, only with more checks and balances. But nothing has changed. And whenever I hear people say, well, it's unrealistic to have the same name as the old as the old government, I just want to look in the face. I'm like, really? Really? Do you not see this? Do you not see the obvious writing right there? One of the things that CIG's writing is not subtle. We've discussed this. They are not subtle with a lot of their ideas. And it's very clear what CIG is telegraphing is, hey, the Messers are gone, but the UE is still around. And all of the bad stuff the UE did is still there. So. And sadly, Boney was a stabilizing effect in the bloody purges of faction versus faction France for years. And that's the thing, is that he was still also a jackass who reversed a lot of the things that were won in the revolution because he just didn't want them to happen. Sorry, we're gonna go over some of the new stuff, but I didn't want to go over because I'm looking at the Galactipedia stuff. I think I'm gonna do a Galactipedia update video where I'm just gonna kind of read off the updates for the Astro Historian, but we'll see. I didn't see the question. Let me go up here and look at some of the stuff. We'll go ahead and ask the question again, Jordan, because I didn't see it. Question, will Vandal control systems like Vega or Virgil be fully realized and explorable? Yes. 100%. But it'll be 100% hostile. Now, it's important to also note that there are systems like Orion, which are Vandal controlled, that still have human colonies on them. They're just hiding in the rubble. Think of what we see at like the new locations in Stanton, like on Microtech and in the Duster's locations. Those kind of like scrap heaps, something like that. But it will probably exist in some of the Vandal controlled areas. But those are very minor and small locations compared to the grand landing zones that you see in Stanton. That's probably what we'll see. You gotta dodge the duels because they will definitely come after you. I imagine they may not make them because destroyed cities are hard to make. You just won't be able to explore the full destroyed cities. You'll be able to land, but it won't be very visually interesting. They're going to have to make an entire planets of destroyed cities when it comes to the Hades system. So almost certainly they'll make it. Question, I haven't found anything on Galactipedia on a Taba Industries in that sneak peek. Let me take a look at that. I'm going to pull open this. I got a ping from Nerdy Gentleman, but I think he deleted it. I don't know if you saw the earlier our earlier discussion. Star Citizen groups. One thing that our Star Citizen does is it has news and notifications. Okay. RSA updates. It's Dev Tracker. Star Citizen news. There it is. Usually has the sneakily peekly. So they don't. Taba. Oh yeah. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna open it up and I'll show you what we're talking about. So this. There's some stuff in the background as well that are different colors. And based off the ground, I would say this is some sort of gym. So I don't know what this is. But it's also small. My first guess is it's an emergency shelter. That would be my first just wild guess based off of some of the colors in the background and some of the other stuff. Like there's a Kovalex version in the background over back over there. I don't know what the red one is, but it looks like it's gonna. But that's definitely the Kovalex C over there. So I think this might be an emergency shelter. It could be a cargo box as well. That's probably it. It could be as well. It could be something like a food delivery mission sort of cargo box. But yeah. But it could also be, I think, like an emergency shelter because there's different brands here all over the place. So that would make sense. Maybe something you can activate, get in, change out of your suit and into another suit or something like that. Or, yeah, a lot of people said, like, I think that it's another guess is like it could be just like a food storage unit. Looks like the Orison Habs. Yeah, this definitely looks like the Orison. There's definitely some like that like this part right here is a little weird, but it's got that like nice wooden floor to it, which tells me. And then there's also the door here and the windows. This looks like this may be a like an updated version of a hab, like the Frontier Outposts area, but it looks very clean. It's just hard to tell. They should make the new derelict settlements be player-controlled areas. No maze, just hold the point for longest time for Widow crime stat free area mission just for the sake of creating PvP. I mean, you can still turn off those what are they called? The relays. Yeah. Comlinks, thank you. Hey, Zombie Pig. Rep-based plushie for the different cargo factions. Plushies. Well, Kovalex is there. This is definitely a cargo. So Taba may be a cargo. Let me look up the... Hold on. Let me check something out.
Within this space, you'll find the reception desk, and as a newcomer, you'll be expected to report here first. So here you can hand over your deliveries or pick up packages and earn reputation points with that faction. So also expect to see corporate ownership reflected through branding, color schemes, and product placement throughout the corporate hub. And with the use of overlays, we'll be able to swap these out depending on the ownership. And here's an example with Grey Cat showcasing their vehicles.
Yep, here it is, right here. Taba Freightline, Kovalex, Ling. Those are 100% boxes. Right here. I was gonna say, let me double check. And I'm like, yep. Now, pull this back. Kovalex, Taba. This right here is Ling. This right here is the is Unified. You can see that, right? Those logos. I don't think they're crate plushies. I think they're crates. What they could be is crates for specifically temperature-controlled content. I thought I knew some of that symbol. Like, wait a second. I've fucking seen the symbol before. That's what they are. They're temperature-controlled crates. Or some sort of other thing like that. Padded for safety, yeah. Crabs on ice, yeah. Gray cat on the left. No, that's Ling. That's on the left. On the left, that's Kovalex, if those ones. They're insulated crates. Yeah, that's what they are. 1,000%. That's what they are. Could be organ transplants. It could be temperature controlled like chemicals that are like sensitive to heat. Yeah, they're just different types of courier boxes. Is what they are. This is why I watch a show. You catch cool things like this besides all the other stuff for other reasons I watch a show. QT sensitive cargo could be as well. Yeah, these could be things that can protect against the QT sensitivity. I just was yellow. What? Why were you yellow? So insulated you can't even hear their screams. Yeah, since you see all of those boxes and they are almost certainly related to cargo because they're about the same size as a cargo box. They have those little arrows that are pointing up, which makes it kind of weird. Those must be like where you could open it up. They're smaller than one SCU. They seem to be about the same size. What's the next adventure? I'm going to be doing some Luminalia gift exchange stuff or gift giving tomorrow and on Sunday. So we're mostly kind of rolling into through the end of this year with more of that sort of things. So. Oh, here. That's Kovalex. Yellow is the skin, but you can see the C right here. Kind of see, like, you can sort of see the C right here. You can see that outline right there. And if you pull here, Kovalex. Kovalex. It's a yellow logo on a red. And then on the right, you see, if you see the gray on red, that's definitely Ling. Because if you go here, Ling. Definitely that logo. Are they just glorified DoorDash bags? They could be. That would be kind of cool, though. But, yeah. Yeah, is yellow and red. The C in yellow, C in Kovalex is yellow, the little box in the center, and then the exterior is red. I think they're secure containers for the taco truck. I think they're 1/8 SCU containers. I think they're probably temperature controlled because CIG wants to add more variety in there. They also could be specific unique at 1/8 SCU cargo crates for you, the player, to be able to store stuff in. That's like something you get because they said they wanted to do stuff that was specifically like stuff you would earn from them. Like here. You see like the different stuff you'd earn. Like swag and stuff like that you can earn. Like a time-limited delivery, yeah. Yeah, they definitely want to do specialized crates and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, because you're colorblind, aren't you, Hazel? Sorry, yeah, it's yellow and red is the stuff. What do you think they'll do for Q1 patch since all this stuff seems freight related and fleshing out? I would love to see Elliot's actual freaking cargo missions in. I think we're getting freight elevators. Almost certainly we're going to get freight elevators for Q1. So March will be freight elevators. And if we get freight elevators for Q1, almost certainly it has to come alongside freight actual trade, like actual like cargo missions, and which will almost always have to go along with the distribution centers, the new distribution centers. I think we'll have like one per planet in Q1, but it won't be much than that. You earn your uniform, partner. And we come back to the dystopia. But that works because in a video game, you want to have your uniform or the swag you get to be an earnable item in game for dedication to you working with that group. That's a gameplay mechanic. That's dystopian as shit, but it's a gameplay mechanic. I know it says Landvix, but do you think we'll get the ability to put snubcraft in elevators too? I think it's a fits it sits situation, where as long as you can put it in the crate itself, in the freight elevator itself, it can be stored there. So yeah, originally I was going to go over to the monthly up or the last Galactipedia update. I'm going to kind of go over it very briefly. But a lot of this is just like there's specific systems. The Tal and Hoyton systems. Hoyton is the home system of the Xi'an. So there's a lot more of kind of stuff here. I'm kind of interested to get into it a little bit, but probably not too much. And then they've got a full-blown, full-length article on Stanton, which is actually really cool. A lot of this stuff is the same as what we've had before, but not all of the systems have their full kind of import. Talks about the discovery. Now, Toshi Aaron was scanning for anomalies in the outskirts of the Magnus system. She had put the last decade trying to fulfill her dream of discovering a jump point, spending as much time as she could in pursuit. A week before the 49th birthday, she dedicated a strange signal. She noted the location, recorded the data she could, and headed home to analyze what could it mean. All signs pointed to the likelihood that she had indeed found what she had been looking for. A few days later, with a ship fully equipped to make the leap, she returned to the location and entered the jump tunnel. After a few harrowing moments of traversing inner space, she found herself on the other side. Aaron's discovery made waves in the UE government. Not only were all the planet systems controlled within the Green Band, but the UE Pathfinder surveyed the system. They found a jump point connected to the Stanton on Terra. The UE immediately claimed the system to dispatch naval engineers to determine what was needed to the tree trust wells habitals. Their eventual report brought bad news. The fund required for the terraform planets would be far more than the cash-strapped government had available to them. While officials debated on what to do to give Navy authorization to construct shipbuildings above us in Stanton, its upper atmosphere. There's no mentions of the original settlers. That's interesting. It could be that they've retconned it out of existence because it was, not something they wanted to deal with. But it doesn't explain the dusters really. Very interesting. They mentioned the Aaron Halo, though, too, as well, so that's still there. I'm not going to go through all of the Xi'an stuff. It's just kind of like major city, tax breaks. Like a lot of this stuff is... It's cool, and I definitely want to go through with it at some point. I just don't want to go through all of the time it would take to go through all of this. The one things I am interested in is Ahmad Harar, and the Carl Dyson, and the Drop Kings. All right. I don't know why they would be disgruntled employees of Area 18 cores. I don't know where you'd be getting that. The Drop Kings are a major criminal syndicate that is active in multiple systems across the United Empire of Earth. Founded in 2640s by a group of anti-Mezzer activists who fled their homes under the threat of retaliation from the Mezzer's government. Their earliest recorded crimes were in the Forest system, where they ran black market goods manufactured on Fora 3, Hyperion, and Terra. Hyperion is like a dust planet. Via route through the Tyrannus system. When they began smuggling goods and people to and from Banu space in 2690s, they quickly rose to prominence and expanded their network to more systems. In 2740s, they entered the Pyro system and clashed with a fellow smuggling group, the Headhunters. Well, the Headhunters are a smuggling group now. I like them even more. Beginning in 2781, the Drop Kings abruptly stopped this conflict and began to focus on smuggling goods across the borders of the UEE, leading historians to speculate they were involved in transporting anti-Mezzer refugees to Banu and Xi'an territories. Oh, fuck. Well, Area 18 seems weird. A weird place where they would be from. They're almost certainly from somewhere, but we don't know where. Retroactive continuity. That's what retcon means. Basically, going back and changing something to make it more continuous with the new stuff that was added. So for those of you who don't get it, this almost certainly means that the Drop Kings smuggled the founder of Crusader Industries out of the UEE. So they're responsible for Crusader Industries. That's fucking wild. I have to double check the dates, but yeah, 2781. Ninetales aren't really, no. They're not really Mezzerites, because they were active in Terra, which would definitely not make them Mezzerites. They'd almost certainly be, something else, and they were active in the early 30th century. So, like, they'd been 100 years after the Mezzers had fallen, so. That's cool. This is like kind of the interconnected lore that I like. Oh, they're from Castra. Why are you doing Castra System, CIG? Why? They returned to business as usual in 2799 and launched an attack on Ruin Station, ousting the Headhunters from power and becoming the de facto rulers of the Pyro system. Control of Pyro passed back and forth between the Drop Kings and the Headhunters until 2912, when the Drop Kings became involved in a feud with Terra-based Rangda Syndicate. Since then, they have dialed back their activities in Pyro, but are known to maintain operations in Fora, Castra, and Elysium systems. This is almost certainly also a Pyro system. This is one of the Pyro gangs. They added in another Pyro gangs, the Drop Kings. Fuck yes. Fuck yes. I am down for more factions. What's the deal with Castra? So Castra is my theory for the system 4. The fourth system of the start in the game. Because Castra is 2 planets. That's it. So it's a small system. And the planet that has the main landing zone is a former UEE naval base called Sherman. So it would give CIG a chance to produce a new tile set, which is military tile set, which they would use for other military bases in the future, as well as other landing zones which were built by the military. There's a couple other places out there like that. Like Magnus has some of that as well, because a lot of what they were Magnus is a combination of old UEE military and or old human military and Hurston. If you took Castor and Hurston and smashed them together, that would be what Magnus is. So, yeah, it says hashtag Pyro Outlaw Fashion. Let's go back here. Click that. Drop Kings, Headhunters, and Fire Rats. Xenothreat and Rough and Ready. Yeah, those are there are 5. And that's not including Citizens for Pyro, which is definitely a Pyro gang. Nor is it in considering the what are they called? The Vigilante group. So that's a total of 7 7 factions from the Fire Swamp. No. So the Fire Rats are cool because the Fire Rats are an entirely player-created faction. They were created live on Twitch as part of a create a faction for Pyro sort of event, and so they came up with a religious cult that worships the sun, and they named them the Fire Rats, and so they had to come up with like a whole lore and backstory for them. So they're a cult. Like, they worship Pyro's star as a god. They're shipjackers, though. So, like, and the story is that, like, they were founded by a bunch of Pyrotechnic Amalgamated employees who were abandoned after Pyrotechnic Amalgamated collapsed at the end of their existence. And so they had to eke out an existence in their old barracks. And when things were getting really rough, a coronal mass ejection, a flare, hit a ship that caused it to crash right next to their base, and they were able to collect food and supplies from that crashed ship, which saved them. And when that happened, they began to worship the star as if it had saved them. So they became a cult, a sun cult for that. So. And the way that they become initiated into the Fire Rats is you have to strip yourself naked and directly expose yourself to a CME. And if you directly expose yourself to a CME and you survive, you get scarred and like fucked up all over your body, but you become part of the Fire Rats. That's their initiation ceremony. Yeah, they're very Children of the Atom sort of thing. It's probably but a great tan. Oh yeah, then there's the Prophet of Pyro, which is a big part of their religion as well, where like the most anointed of them, the highest ranking Fire Rats, will go to the mines of Monarchs, which is now sounds cool as shit. The mines of Monarchs, and they'll seek at the height of like coronal mass ejections, they'll actually seek the wisdom of a being, an entity that they call the Prophet of Pyro, which supposedly lives in the mines, because a voice will speak to people in the mines and tell them prophetic futures that they then use to interpret their own like future for it. Entire fucking gangs have like lived and died based off of the Prophet of Pyro's like predictions. So. I'd say third or fourth, or due to the fact that we don't know for certain the third one. The third one? We've got the Headhunters are here. We know about the Headhunters now. We know a little bit more. We know about the Fire Rats. We know about the Drop Kings now. Rough and Ready, Xenothreat. There's the High Hats, which still exist. Yeah. Morning, there, Quark. Get out of here. Okay, so that's what we wanted to see for that one. Central Core Bank, that's just the main currency. They make the UEC. Carl Dyson. Okay. Oh, they're the ones who discovered the Kaipua system. Oh, that's the... Speaking of religions... Yeah. We kind of discovered about the Kaipo system is the Kaipo system is the home of Rapwang, which means the Great Day in Xi'an, and it specifically is the kind of holy center of Litova, which is their religion. So, pretty cool. I feel we need a third star system. Oh, we do a third solar system. Third is Nyx. Why I say fourth is because Nyx is almost certainly the third. We have the landing zone for Nyx, which is Levski. We have Delamar. Obviously, they need to get updated, but here's the secret. Pretty much everything that we've seen, if you see, like, there's been some updates, some, like, visuals and some discussions. Pretty much every time a landing zone gets updated, so does Levski. Even though Levski is no longer in game, it's still being updated. So there's no reason why CIG would be updating Levski if they're going to completely replace it. So I think CIG is almost certainly still going to have Nyx be the third system. It tracks it. You have a jump point from Nyx to Pyro, and here's the key: Castra has a jump point to Nyx and has a jump point to Pyro. So Castra is linked to both Nyx and Pyro, which is great. The Overlords. Thank you, Big Worm. That's what they're called.
2 words. Distress.
The Overlords. That's the reason. Like, the more I looked into Castra, the more I'm like, Castra's the fucking perfect thing because it's simple. It's a pretty easy. It's only 2 planets. There's not a lot of worlds. It's pretty small. It has a tile set which is very specific to see something that CIG needs to get done that is unique, that doesn't really happen anywhere else, and it's already connected to Pyro and Nyx. So it already has a connection to the other systems that are already in game. So it's a perfect boom. It's on the border of Xi'an space, so you can expand out that direction. There's a lot of factors that make Castra a really interesting choice for them to choose. The cool part is that Castra's main landing zone, which is Sherman, is built on the top of a mountain. So it's called the Island of the Clouds because it's like the cloud layer sits just below the city. So when you come into land, you come in above the cloud layer and land on the city. It also has 2 absolutely fuck-off gigantic guns, which are designed as anti-capital ship orbital surface-to-orbit lasers. And 2 companies we know pretty well are already headquartered in Castra. Kruger Intergalactic and Gemini. I believe Gemini is there too. It's either Gemini or another gun manufacturer. But yeah. Guns are called Fuck Around and Find Out, right? I mean, that would be my hope. Like, they should be called Fuck Around and Find Out. It's just a cool system in general. It's completely lawful. So it adds another lawful system, but it's only accessible via 2 unlawful systems. It's a UEE, it's an active UEE military base, so you have some cool military stuff coming and going. The other planet in the system is known as Bullseye, because it's completely barren and it's used by the UEE as bombing practice. So you can add a little bit more kind of cool terrain features of just like craters made by antimatter torpedoes and crazy amounts of of like background radiation and other shit like that. So it also has what are described as orbital plates. So it actually has its station isn't like a normal station like we have in Stanton. It is built specifically to house and like maintain multiple capital ships. It was effectively a backup rendezvous point and collection point for a possible war with the Xi'an. So it was absolutely armed to the teeth. Everything about it was built to repel a Xi'an invasion, including a station which was designed for like effectively servicing an entire fleet in the middle of battle. Another cool system I would say is Hadrian, which is entirely ice giants and gas giants, and all of the major systems are all the major like interesting points are stations. Because it was a former border world with the Xi'an, has a ton of derelict stations which were abandoned years ago. So it can really up that sort of Tarkov-esque extraction shooter experience, because you have abandoned stations which could be homes to outlaws or anything else you want to do. And its main landing zone is actually a station called Keltu Reef, which is actually a human-designed Banu flotilla. So it would help the kind of imagery for the Banu for that sort of thing. No, that's Hadesian. Hades coffee, different from that. It was a forward operation base. It wasn't a FOB. It was originally supposed to be like a just behind the lines, not on the forward operation. It was like a fallback position. It's like where where fleets would go to if there was an attack to rendezvous, collect together, kind of get refueled, get restocked, and then go to the front lines. So, yeah. That's what Castro was. So. Yeah, Hadrian is like Hadrian's Wall. That's why it was named Hadrian, because it was literally a border world with right on the Xi'an territory. But it has no value. It's just gas giants and an ice giant. There's no landable location, and doesn't really have very many resources. It's just a border world. Border system. The blind replenishment base. I don't know what that's called, but like Zendatri stations. I don't know what that is. Maybe defense in depth. Yeah, whatever that is. I want to describe what it is, but it's not. I don't think it's a FOB. In from what I understand. Rear operating base, something like that. Yeah. Why would the UAE ever surrender that much military infrastructure? Because the threat between the UAE and the Xi'an entirely evaporated after the fall of the Mezzers. So there just wasn't a lot of call for maintaining that much like location when the Vandul were rampaging through the other part of the empire. So a lot of that area is now opened up to civilians. Now, it wasn't without controversy. There is a lot of controversy to allow civilians to set up shop in Sherman, but it was still there, and the UAE didn't like it. So, like the Navy didn't like it, and they still do have some presence there, but a lot of it has been converted to civilian use. So, UAE also partially collapsed. Yeah, before that. Any good lore? Yeah, we got another. From this one, we got the Drop Kings lore, which is new. It's full Stanton. We got some information on the discoverer of Stanton, who is been cleared. So Muster point, I guess something like that. I'd have to look up the Castro lore to see exactly what it was described as, but any water worlds like Castilian, Glee, Anselm, Camino, Man, and Moncala? Yes, there's Nemo, and then there's Helios? Yeah, Helios, Tengora. Its main landing zone is called Mariana, also called Shorebreak, located on around one of Tengos's few permanent islands. It was initially established soon after the system was discovered as a base for scientists to study the system's particular main sequence Type B star. The city is known for the unofficial headquarters of the sport subsurfing, which athletes pilot extremely maneuverable submarines on, through, and underneath Tengora's towering waves. Today's city is partially on land and partially underwater, and is protected on all sides by an extensive network of wave breaks. And then there's Nemo, which is a water world which had natural amounts of crude oil. And yes, I mean crude oil. Problem was, there's no evidence of life on the planet. What about Mars? Mars is not a water world, but Mars, Mars did have an AI incident. See, the thing is when Nemo was discovered, I don't believe the UNE didn't exist at the time. So my only thought was, whoever discovered Nemo must have been an American, because there's no fucking way America would have allowed an entire system that's just filled with fucking oil would be to be in the hands of anybody else but America. So Nemo is actually absolutely covered with oil rigs. Like, absolutely fucking covered with oil rigs. And that's where people live, is they live on the oil rigs. In fact, I think its only landing zone is a gigantic oil rig. I think, Neon from Starfield before, Starfield was out. Oil is usually a product of compressed plant matter in geology, so where'd the oil come from? That's the question. Like, there's no evidence of any current or past life, yet they found fucking oil, which indicates there must have been past life. But there's no evidence of it, other than the oil. Where the fuck did it come from? Yeah, the drugfish one, yeah. Yeah, the Mars was originally terraformed by an AI, and then it was the AI failed, caused a big issue, and it killed all of the inhabitants, and so they had to do it again slower, but without the AI's help, because couldn't get the AI's help because it caused the catastrophic catastrophe in the first place. Long Dead Planet. The problem is like none of our technology at the time, or even in the 30th century, could find evidence of fossils or any other sort of like chemical imprint that proved that life had existed on the world before. So, all right, y'all. I think this has been good. We've been streaming for well over 3 hours. We're almost at 4 hours here. Thank you for hanging out and watching me. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy this, please hit that follow button and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already done so. I will be back tomorrow early-ish, about 4 p.m. Eastern, where I'm going to be doing some Luminalia gift stuff. And then after that, we're going to go do some co-op Rogue Trader with Loken. We'll be doing that kind of pretty frequently together. So if you want to catch up some cool 40K RPG action, and if you didn't enjoy this, say nothing. Yeah, and then on Saturday I'll be talking about a kind of year in review with Red Monster, with Darionator, and with Radar Ranger. So we're going to talk about, we're going to go to each patch and kind of talk about like what it did and what it didn't do and those sorts of things. And of course, Sunday, because it's Christmas Eve, I will be doing kind of solo or maybe some small group Luminalia missions. We'll just kind of get together and do some Luminalia package deliveries and just hang out and talk. So thanks again for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.